Good evening and welcome to Falcon Media Sports Network's hockey coverage here on this Saturday evening. I'm Nate Henners here in the WBGU 88.1 studio in Bowling Green, Ohio, joined by Daniel and Nathan. We'll get to them in a second, but we're getting ready for the BGSU Falcons to take on Minnesota State once again tonight, following their loss after a shootout yesterday, 4-4, and then losing in that shootout yesterday against Minnesota State up in Mankato, Minnesota. Before we get to Nathan and Dan, though, Ben Korak, he will be joining us later for our play-by-play broadcast tonight. But earlier on today, he was able to talk to Coach Willie about last night's loss to Minnesota State and tonight's matchup. So let's hear what him and Willie had to say.
All right, Coach, Minnesota State, number 16 team in the nation, took them to overtime yesterday. Just couldn't get that extra point. Just what are your thoughts about the game yesterday?
We played some good hockey. I thought there's going to be times they're going to pin us in. We pin them in sometimes. And, I thought it was pretty two evenly matched teams, throughout it. And we've had a little tough luck in the last 3 games going to overtime and losing those extra points. But we're definitely, happy with – I'm happy with where we're at and where we're going. And, when you look at that 6-on-5 goal, we didn't quit. It was nice to see contributions from first-year guys off that goal, out there. And we're putting a lot of players in some different situations still right now and trying to, get them to grow. But I really liked a lot of our game. Unfortunately, we lose an extra point, so it's a bit of a stinger, but not an easy building come in. Great building, great fan support, top-notch facility. You think about it, and while you're here watching it, it's bright, it's exciting, and I thought we did a nice job though, trying to, we weathered the storm, especially after they made it 3-2.
Yeah, 2-goal lead early, 3 straight from Minnesota State after that. 5 total goals in the first period. Just what you see there, both defensively from both teams and offensively, that got that 5-goal first period.
I thought we did a lot of good things offensively, in that period, and generated a lot of play in behind their D, forced them to turn, and the way it goes is they came in quick waves, and before you know it, down 3-2 and tied up 3-3 with a great goal by Morneau, and went down 4-3 2 minutes in the third, and then we tied up. So you talk about resiliency of a team that doesn't quit. We said that last year when I came in, is that we're going to compete hard for 60 plus minutes, and I think that's one thing we can always tip our hat to is we're competitive. We're going to continue to learn. We're going to continue to fail in certain parts as long as we continue to get better. And as I keep preaching all along, it's wanting to continue to grow and peak at the right time. And again, I like where our group's at. You take out that first weekend again, we played some. I think we played some really good hockey.
Yeah, you mentioned Morneau a second ago. Just 2 goals yesterday. Very good in the face-off dots as well over the last couple of games. So what did you just see from him this season, especially offensively, but just as an all-around player?
I think everyone can learn from him. He just goes to the hard areas, competes, comes to practice every day to get better. Doesn't ever feel entitled, doesn't complain about ice time. Just you talk about a fortunate person who shows up and doesn't take anything for granted, and we talk about today we're having a talk about show dogs and working dogs, and for him he's a working dog out there. He just goes, he plays power play, penalty kill, face-offs, top 6 for us right now, and I think that says a lot about an incoming freshman.
Yeah, again, like we mentioned, Minnesota State, very tough team, number 16 in the nation. But what are the big focuses for you guys today and trying to come away with more than just 1 point today against the Mavericks?
Well, I think just consistency. For us, we're on the road. We have to be loose. The pressure's on them. I just heard 3 times in this conversation, the 16th team, right? Yeah. So we're just the underdogs trying to come in and get our points and get back on the bus.
Yeah, Coach, good luck.
Thank you.
Again, Ben Korak there, interviewing Coach Willie earlier today over the Falcons' loss against Minnesota State yesterday. Coming up, we will have our roundtable, Daniel Reidenhauer and Nathan Burkett. Well, I mispronounced that, didn't I?
No, it's all good.
Okay, I'm close. He will pronounce his name correctly coming up here. And we will also have Nathan Burkett joining us here in the WBGU studio for our roundtable as we get you ready for tonight's hockey matchup against Minnesota State. 7:07, first puck drop for that coming up here on WBGU 88.1 FM.
What kind of help does the IRS have for identity theft victims?
If you suspect you're a victim of tax-related identity theft, go to irs.gov/identity theft to learn how to prevent potential refund fraud and protect your tax account. At the IRS, combating tax-related identity theft is a top priority, and we are committed to prevention, detection, and assisting victims. And we're working with law enforcement to catch the criminals. For more info, go to irs.gov/identity theft to learn what the IRS is doing to help protect you.
And welcome back to Falcon Media Sports Network hockey pregame coverage on WBGU 88.1 FM. Again, Nate Henners here in the studio in Bowling Green, Ohio, joined tonight by Daniel Ridenauer. Got it? All right, and Nathan Burkett. So getting ready for tonight's matchup here. What are some things you guys are looking forward to? For starting off with the Falcons, some things you guys are looking forward to with them after their loss last night.
I'm looking forward to more goal scoring from them. They were able to score 4 goals against the Mavericks last night, against one of the best goaltenders in not just the CCHA, but the NCAA as a whole, in Alex Tracy. Alex Tracy last season won CCHA Goaltender of the Year. He won the CCHA Player of the Year award. He was a finalist for the Mike Richter Award, which is given to the best goalie in the NCAA, and he was actually a top 10 finalist for the Hobie Baker Award, given to the MVP of college hockey. So, obviously a very strong player in Alex Tracy. They were able to score 4 goals on him and an additional goal in the shootout from Tyler Hodson. And they scored most of those goals, 3 of the 4, in fact, off of dirty goals, tipped shots, rebound opportunities, net front scrums. That's what it's going to take to score goals consistently against Tracy, and I look forward to seeing Coach Willie's team do that again tonight.
I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of screens. That's kind of the mojo that I've kind of picked up on, and obviously Tracy, like you said, is a really great goaltender. There's no denying that. But overall, if you're able to get those screens, if you're able to get the puck in front and take it up a little bit high and then take it right back, if you can get in front of him and you can get a forward there to just block him, use that height or whatever you got to your advantage, just able to get a tip on it. If you can get rid of his sight, then you can get a lot of good things. But also, like you said, it's going to be those dirty goals. And we're looking forward to seeing those again tonight with a lot of rebounds. Whatever he can give up, we have to take advantage of.
And what do you guys think the Falcons need to do to get ahead of Minnesota State tonight, if they can do so?
We need solid. We mentioned going for dirty goals, taking away Tracy's eyes, but they also need to be sound defensively. They need to be able to block shots. Last night, notably, Gustav Sternberg had 3 block shots throughout the game. Solid performance from him. We need more of that. We need people going out, putting their bodies on the line, willing to block shots, and being able to set up plays.
We needed the plays to develop. Really, that's where it's all going to begin. Is it's going to start, at the face-off dot, and then it's going to have to go from there. But really, just getting the play in your own territory, and obviously scoring first is going to be huge. We did score first yesterday. It didn't go our way, but statistically speaking, if you score first, you are more likely to, get victory, and you need to get that first goal because this is a team where if you are trailing by them, it is going to be nearly impossible to get back on track. And you just, even if it's 0-0, you have that mentality, you have to keep that. And then once you're able to get that lead, you have to still keep playing like that. But overall, if you're able to have that lead on the scoreboard, that is going to be monumental for getting success. So overall, I would say you have to score first.
All right, so moving on now over to the Minnesota State Mavericks. They, of course, getting that win after the 4-4 tie last night. So what are some things they can do to stay ahead and maybe get a second win tonight?
Play Minnesota State hockey. Put it plain and simple. We mentioned dirty goals for BG. They don't need to rely on dirty goals. Obviously, any team, if you're going to get dirty goals, you have a better chance of winning. But they don't need to rely on it as much as BG does. They have players who can go out there and score the more flashy ESPN highlight reel-esque goals. Noticeably, last night, Tristan Lemire had contributed in some way to all 4 of Minnesota State's goals. He had 2 goals, 2 assists on the night, was a strong player. I'll look for him again tonight, as well as Luigi Benincasa. Previously, the last night, he was leading the team in points with his 9. He was held off the score sheet last night, did score a shootout goal to help send his team to extra shots in the shootout. But he did take 4 shots on goal. He's now been replaced by Lemire for the team lead in points, as Lemire's 4 points pushed him over to 10 points on the year, so he now has the Minnesota State lead in points. But Benincasa still had a strong game last night. He's another one of those players who can score the flashy goals, but can also score dirty goals when needed. So, and there's also many players that I know Dan's probably itching to mention who is just a strong player on this Minnesota State Mavericks team.
Well, Tristan Lemire, definitely the guy that we wanted to talk a lot about and really just put himself out there and was really, the deciding force, if you will, that led to the Minnesota State victory yesterday. And overall, I would say it's him and Alex Tracy, but I'm looking at Lemire so far this season. He's got 5 goals in the 9 games he's played. Last year with Western Michigan, he played in 42 games, got 6 goals, and then he played with Denver in 22-23 and then 23-24. So he's played with high-level, high-caliber programs throughout the NCAA, and he's also back here at Minnesota State again. And ironically, too, we kind of talked about it. He got 2 goals yesterday in the first period, but he's also been on a national championship team with Denver and Western Michigan, so we don't know if that's an omen here for Minnesota State or not, but I digress with that. But overall, I'd say Tristan Lemire is going to be the number 1 guy to look out for with Minnesota State tonight.
All right. Coming up, we will have our Falcon Media Sports Network Player of the Game watch, as now less than 15 minutes away from first puck. That's going up though in Minnesota, but we are keeping it here in Bowling Green as we get you ready for puck drop here on WBGU 88.1 FM.
BGSU women's basketball is set to travel to Madison to battle the University of Wisconsin Badgers. Catch Falcon Media Sports Network's Adam Duffin with the call on 88.1 FM at 7:30 p.m. Listen also to Ben Korak, Lucas Kleinmeyer, Noah Seeley, and Andrew Helkowski in studio for all the pregame, halftime, and postgame action. You can find all women's basketball action on WBGU 88.1 FM, your home for BGSU women's basketball.
What is dedication?
The thing that drives me every day as a dad is Dariana. We call him Day-Day for short. Every day he's hungry for something, whether it's attention, affection, knowledge. And there's this huge responsibility in making sure that when he's no longer under my wing, that he's a good person. I want him to be able to sit back one day and go, we worked together, we did a good job.
That's dedication. Find out more at fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad.
Welcome back to Falcon Media Sports Network pregame coverage. The Falcon hockey team getting ready to take on the Minnesota State Mavericks tonight, 7:07 puck drop. And as we get you ready for that matchup, Nathan and Daniel, some players that we are watching for our Falcon Media Sports Network Player of the Game.
I got a couple for you. To start off, Braden Crampton had a solid night last night, had an assist on the game, also had 3 block shots. He's had a very good year so far. Currently leads the team on shots on goal. And one of it, actually, the way he got an assist last night was he took a shot from the point that got tipped in by Morneau. So Crampton, look for him. I don't necessarily think he'll be picked for one of the players of the game, but he'll just be a consistent player, contributing in all the small ways as well as hopefully contributing in the big ways as well on the score sheet. Another one I'm going to mention before we throw it over to Dan, because I don't want to steal all his picks like I did last night. Noah Morneau had 2 goals last night. He now leads the team in goals with 3. Following him is a couple of players who have 2, but he has 3 goals. Scored a goal. He scored the only clean goal, I would say, on Alex Tracy last night, as he received a drop pass from McKinley, took a shot short side, beat Tracy on the blocker side. That was the only clean shot that went in past Tracy. All the other goals from BG were either off rebounds or tipped in shots, so he showed he has that skill to beat Tracy. And the last one I'm going to mention is, I know there's a couple Dan's probably excited to mention, but I'm going to give shout out to Adam Zlunka. Has scored 2 career goals. The sophomore scored 2 career goals, both of them being against Minnesota State and both of them being on rebound opportunities. And he's always just so good at going in front of the other team's goalie, setting screens, taking away the goalie's eye. So even when he's not on the score sheet, he's contributing.
I'm going to go with, for Bowling Green, Dominic Ryman will be my first pick overall. Only a goal this year, but he's got 3 assists, showing that, he can be there and he can help out his teammates. And he also, with 17 shots that he has attempted so far this season, I would see as a very good momentum boost for Bowling Green. Has also blocked 3 shots as well. So My BGSU Falcon player is going to be Dominic Ryman tonight. Overall, the freshman forward, looking forward to seeing him go along with that. And then also, I would like to take it over, though, to the opposite end of the ice with Minnesota State. And Liam Watkins will be my guy to look out for as well. We talked about Lemire a lot, but also Watkins with 3 goals and 6 assists so far this season. Also a +6 showing that he is able to make the plays that are needed. And it's going to be good to see him out there. And overall, I will say that Liam Watkins will be a game changer as well for the Minnesota State team.
All right, and taking a look now at what's going on around the CCHA. Right now, a few live games in session. Michigan Tech and Northern Michigan in action right now. 20 minutes left in the second, tied 1-1. Augustina and Ferris State. Ferris State up 2-0 with 15:54 left in the second. And looking right now, we have Lake Superior State and I can never say this right.
Bemidji State.
I said that? Okay, I can never get that right. But right now it's 0-0. Looks like nothing reported yet on that game, but we will keep you updated as the night continues on. Right now, let's take a quick break, and we'll be back with more Falcon Media Sports Network pregame coverage here on WBGU 88.1 FM.
Looking for a BGSU Athletics talk radio show? Tune into the Zig Zone every Sunday at 4 p.m., where a panel of Falcon Media Sports Network members discuss the hottest BG sports topics. Only on WBGU 88.1 FM.
Ever heard of Falcon Media Sports Network's broadcasts on Falcon Radio or WBGU 88.1 FM but don't know where to listen? Well, set down the radio, pick up your phone, and go to bgfalconmedia.com and scroll to the bottom of the page to stream Falcon Radio and WBGU 88.1 FM for all broadcasts.
This week's Falcon Media Sports Network Athlete of the Week is Isabella Mazzaferro. The junior winger, hailing from Ontario, Canada, scored the game-winning goal in overtime against Buffalo in the MAC tournament. Mazzaferro recorded 2 shots against the Bulls. Despite coming off the bench, she played 76 minutes. Isabella was magnificent, and I think she completely turned the game on its head, head coach Chris Fox said. In 19 games, Mazzaferro had 3 goals, 12 shot-on goals, and 2 game-winning goals for the Falcons. This has been this week's Falcon Media Sports Network Athlete of the Week.
Welcome back to Falcon Media Sports Network hockey coverage. Now just a few minutes away from first puck up at Mankato, Minnesota. The Falcons taking on the Minnesota State Mavericks tonight. You are listening, though, to pregame coverage as we are just a few minutes away now here on WBGU FM in Bowling Green. So as we get you ready for tonight's matchup, Nathan and Daniel, your Falcon 4 keys to the game.
Number one, it's going to be goaltending, as always. Hockey, another way to say hockey is goaltending, because if you don't have good goaltending, you're not going to be a successful team. We don't know for sure right now who's going to be getting the start for the Falcons, but it's looking like it should be Jacob Steinman. Had a very strong game last night. He came in about halfway through the first period in relief of Cole Moore. Only let up 1 goal, Steinman did. Made 20 saves. Had a very strong save percentage last night. On the season, he is statistically BG's best goalie. Has a 2.06 goals against average, best on the team. He has a save percentage of .928, best on the team, and has made 77 saves on the season, best on the team. Looking on the other side of the ice, we have Alex Tracy. Also has had a very good season, as I mentioned earlier, just all the accolades he got last year for being just one of the best goaltenders in the entire NCAA. Had a little bit of an off game last night. He had only an 84 save percentage. Made 21 saves, so still solid there. On the season, though, he has a 2.27 goals against average and a .914 save percentage. And again, consistently one of the best goaltenders in the NCAA. And on that note, second one, crash the net. We mentioned dirty goals. If you're going to score goals consistently against Alex Tracy, you're not going to score highlight reel goals. You have to crash the net. You have to get rebounds. You have to get tip shots. You have to create havoc in front of the goaltender. That's the only way to consistently score against Tracy.
My first key for the Falcon Force, so I guess the third out of fourth one I will have, is going to be a little bit more on the discipline side of things. I mean, looking at it right now as a team, you have 60 penalty minutes already so far this year, and you're averaging 4 a game, which is nowhere near where you'd want to be, especially since it's costing you 8.6 minutes a game in terms of opportunities where you're only playing 4 or maybe even 3 guys out there. So you got to improve on that. You need to be more disciplined as a team. And Minnesota State, that's going to be a team that's going to try to rage bait you. They're going to have that mentality that's going to be looking at you and going to be trying to look down, and they're going to try to get under our skin. And the point of that is you have to stay disciplined, you have to crash the net, but you also have to do it responsibly, if that makes sense. You have to, take it with a grain of salt, and you have to be disciplined when you go out there and take control of the game. And then the second key that I will have is improve the defense. You got to shut it down. Steinman's going to go out there. He's going to play his game. So we're going to see that unfold, but also just improve the defense. And you know what? I will say that we are seeing an improvement in the defense from yesterday as opposed to the series earlier against Bemidji. But even then, you just have to keep going on and improving. So that's going to be the main thing tonight that I will have is improving the defense and also just the opportunities with discipline.
Yeah, all right, and national anthem going on right now up in Minnesota, but as we just have a few minutes left now, should mention a busy day here for BGSU Athletics, part of a whole busy weekend going on. First, just a few minutes ago here on WBGU, it wrapped up. BGSU Volleyball was in action for senior night over at the Stro, and the Falcons got a win, 15-10 over the Akron Zips. So a win for the Falcons on senior night. Not such a great day for the Falcons, though, over in football. I think Falcon fans are kind of used to it by now, but 27-21 loss to Eastern Michigan. You guys have a comment on that?
BG is now ineligible for a bowl game, and this is the first time they're ineligible for a bowl game since 2021. Thank you, Tyler Kavelitz, for the facts.
Well, I wouldn't say this was our greatest performance of all time, but I also wouldn't say it was our worst on the football side of things. I mean, and obviously just not the way you wanted to go. You had Toledo, which that's the high point of this year without a doubt, but let's give Coach George some slack here. This is his first season, and, building a great program takes time. It's not going to happen overnight. So if we trust the process and build with, the QB room, the running back room that we have now, and just make sure we can get those new transfers in, we should be looking forward to a better year next year.
All right. Thanks, Dan and Nathan. You guys will be back with us for our Falcon Media Sports Network halftime show. Now it's time to send things on up to Mankato, Minnesota. Ben Korak is up there once again. Hey, Ben, how's it going?
Pretty good, Nate. Really great to hear you guys in our pregame today. Thank you to Nate, Nathan, and Dan back at the Cooling Center Studios for doing our pregame show today. It's a nice balmy 34 degrees outside of the Mayo Clinic Health System Event Center here in Mankato, Minnesota. Actually, we had some snow earlier today, which is very good to see as we're getting into the winter time, and it definitely feels more like hockey season. Yesterday, the Falcons fell in a shootout to Minnesota State, their third straight game of extra ice time needed. They did fall, but a very good game played by Bowling Green, able to score 4 goals against Alex Tracy, one of the best goaltenders in the nation, certainly in the CCHA. We've mentioned a couple of times before, the CCHA Player of the Year last year and Goaltender of the Year. Now lines up in his net across the ice from Jacob Steinman as Bowling Green and Minnesota State drop puck here in Mankato for the second time this weekend, the Saturday game for the Falcons. Bowling Green sitting at 2-1-2 in CCHA play and 2-3-2 overall, looking for a regulation victory that they have not had
since Lake Superior State 2 weeks ago. First shot in toward Jacob Steinman's directed away into the corner. The Falcons come up with the puck and take it out from their own end. Starting lineup, Noah Morneau, who had 2 goals yesterday. He's been a very solid offensive player for the Falcons so far, who plays the puck back in his own zone there, playing on a line with Dominic Ryman, the freshman, and Quinn Emerson, the senior, on the wing for Noah Morneau. Dalton Norris, Braden Crampton, the starting defenseman, and Jacob Steinman in net for Bowling Green, watching his team take an icing call early on in the game. Starting for Minnesota State, and off the ice now in favor of the first line, but Jacob Stender starting in center. Sawyer Scholl and Reed Morick, the wingers. Mason Wheeler and Campbell Psychos back on defense. And Alex Tracy, the goaltender for the Mavericks, wearing their gold jerseys, purple shorts, gold socks, purple buckets, and mitts today. Bowling Green wearing their all browns as they did yesterday. Luigi Benincasa in for the draw, one back to Evan Murr playing on defense. Had the shootout winner for Minnesota State yesterday, the defenseman did. Quick shot across the nose of Steinman, carries up to the blue line of Murr, and he is able to keep it inside the O-zone. Norris gets it to his defensive partner, Braden Crampton, who they've been a pairing all year this year, kind of settled into that spot. Second pairing, an interesting one. We'll talk about that when they come out on the ice, but right now it's McKinley and Kurodiak taking that shift off for the Falcons. Here's Brett Foe down in the left wing corner in the O-zone. Watkins against the boards for Minnesota State, battling for the puck. It's out to center ice. Cleared away for Minnesota State. Luigi Benincasa, a breakaway. He's hit, checked with the puck in the slot. Good defense by Bowling Green. They're able to bump Benincasa away and squander that opportunity for the Mavericks. McKinley presses his man up into the boards. Puck away to Kurodiak, and now pinned right back up again by the purple and gold. At the left wing, Brett Foe with the puck. He carries it up outside of the danger zone for Bowling Green at center ice. Now down the right wing comes Brody Waters. He's alone. The Falcons get a shift. Down to the goal line, looking for a pass from behind the net. He circles out to the blue line. Niedermeyer and Stjernberg, the second defensive pairing for the Falcons today. Jackson Niedermeyer coming into the season playing forward almost every game with the Falcons and has played defenseman 3 straight games, extra skating yesterday and playing exclusively on defense and playing on a pairing with Stjernberg today. Puck, a nice pass to Jack Smith on the right wing, and he couldn't settle it down enough to get a shot off on Steinman in the Bowling Green net. Lurie with the puck now behind the goal line in the O-zone. Puck out to Adams Linka on the right wing, scored the first goal of his season yesterday, the second goal of the game as the Falcons took a 2-0 lead over the Mavericks yesterday, and then the Mavericks answered in the first period with 3 straight and led 3-2 going into the second. Game ended up at a 4-4 tie and a shootout win for the Mavericks. Pass over into the slot. Jake Sloan was a bit quiet yesterday for the Falcons. Holding on to the stick there is Adams Lincoln. No penalty upcoming as both players were tied up. Tyler Hodson with a shot toward Tracy, who gives it to Campbell Psychos. Psychos has 3 goals in his career. Both of the goals in the last 2 seasons have been against the Falcons, one yesterday and one in the second game against the Falcons last season here in the Mayo. Breck McKinley chases the puck back into his own zone. It'll be an icing call against Minnesota State, and Bowling Green will drop puck in the O-zone. Our Falcon Media Sports Network pick to stick. For Falcon Media Sports Network members, choose a player before the game starts. 2 points for a goal, 1 point for an assist. Goalie gets you 3, and you lose him as he gives up goals. We'll total them up across the season. Make sure to play along at home and keep listening for scores here on your home for Falcon Hockey. Lucas Kleinmeyer chose Brody Waters today. Been a bit quiet this season, but he and I chose second line forwards. My choice, Ben Duran. Falcon Media Sports Network being represented today by Nate Henners, our board operator. Chose Breck McKinley, who's got 6 assists on the season, the leader in assists for the team. And Tyler Kavlitz chose Dominic Ryman, one of the most high-profile freshmen for this Bowling Green squad. A very nice score on the first line with Noah Morneau and Quinn Emerson today. Whistle in Bowling Green's offensive zone, so the puck will come outside of the blue line. And we'll get a redrop here with 16:37 left to play in the first period. Actually, they'll change their mind. Put the face-off to the left of Tracy as the cage came off of its moorings. Bit of line scrambled up again for head coach Dennis Williams. Morneau being switched up to the first line with Ryman and Emerson. Foe, Duran, and Waters, the second line. Hodson, Grant, and Zlinka, the third line. And Jeremy Minville on the ice playing with Jake Sloan and Connor Levis today, although they checked off a second ago for a fresh set of skaters.
Here's Ben Duran, who gets it back down to Brody Waters. Waters behind the goal. Foe's back down there in tight with Waters. Waters is able to evade Brett Foe. Norris, the shot ins, dropped down on the slot, carried away by Sawyer Scholl. Scholl had 12 minutes of penalty yesterday, had a 10-minute misconduct toward the end of regulation play, and also got a 2-minute on the same. Scholl takes it down the left wing now at the left wing wheel. His shot in, saved by Steinman, kicked over into the corner. Shot there by Jacob Conrad, the transfer for this season from Lake Superior State, where he played his first season in college hockey. 8 goals, 5 assists, and 13 points for the defenseman. Skating today with Liam Hupka on the third pairing. Extra skating Bryce Strand, the son of head coach for Minnesota State Luke Strand. And Wheeler Psychos and Murren Bergmanis, the other defensive lines for Minnesota State. Benincasa gathers the puck on the left wing in Minnesota State territory. It's flipped up the ice toward Ivan Korodiak, who plays it back for the Falcons. Forces it up to center ice. Good passing there. Hodson dumps it down. Tracy will stop behind his goal. 3 Falcons now on the forecheck, and they'll get the puck up against the right wing boards. 15-15 left to play here in the first period. Still no score between these two teams, who scored 5 goals in the first period yesterday. Scored only 3 the west of the way. That was 40 minutes of play to 3 goals compared to 20 minutes of play and 5 goals. Really a tale of 1/3 and 2/3 yesterday. They played pretty even through the back half, or the back 2/3, I should say. Puck in center ice, played away. The Falcons with the puck in the neutral zone. Now gives it a little bit back into their own zone. Korodiak up to Jeremy Minville. Minville a scratch yesterday on the ice today. Max Martin scratched today. Didn't do too much yesterday, although was on a relatively successful line. Jake Sloan back into his own zone, played up by Norris. Minville gets a touch on it, no icing. Wheeler plays it, takes a check from Connor Levis. Minville finishes his check, passed down behind the goal. Jake Sloan chasing after the puck. Now Brett Foe on the right wing fires it over into Alex Tracy, and he knocks it away with his stick. Behind the goal again, Minville gets clobbered into the boards. He's a bit worse for wear, but he'll skate off that check. Norris back to retrieve the puck in his own end of the ice. 14 minutes left to play in the first period, still no score. Not a lot of stoppages either between these two teams, but we'll get one here for an icing against the Falcons. Bowling Green not able to get a change before that puck was waved off for icing, so we're going to get a new set of Mavericks and the same set of Falcons. It's Finn Williams that's going to take the face-off. Mason LaBelle in at left wing. Didn't play yesterday. We saw Gavers in the game yesterday for Minnesota State, but was injured within the first 5 minutes of the game, exited the ice, and Minnesota State played with only 3 complete forward lines and 2 extra skaters. Did a pretty good job of playing through that. Evan Murr with his shot in is blocked onto slot by Dom Ryman, and it's outside the blue line, so Minnesota State will have to reset. Ron chases the puck into the O-zone. Falcons come up with possession. Out to center ice, Noah Morneau, who had 2 goals yesterday. He's got 3 on the season now and is the Bowling Green leader in goals scored with those 2 yesterday. Ron with the puck, skates it back into his own zone, plays back to Ralph Bergmanis. Bergmanis' pass up the ice. Won't complete to Stender. Scholl takes it into the O-zone. Niedermeyer in the corner as defenseman. Narrowly avoids the hit of Stender and gets the puck away at a clean pass. Tipped up the ice by Brett Foe, who's been under control this series, which is something you can't say all the time for Brett Foe. He's a quick skater, very athletic. One of the best athletes on the squad, and sometimes skates a little bit, or wants to skate faster than his legs will take him. It's kind of been his problem in his years with Bowling Green, as there's an icing against Minnesota State, come down into the Bowling Green end of the ice. Brett Foe, 40 points in 95 games with the Falcons. 16 goals, and a much better passer last year was Brett Foe. He had 5 goals and 13 assists last season, a 3-assist game against Northern Michigan up in Marquette. Reed Moore gets the puck away out of his own zone. Scholl takes it up into the O-zone. Chasing defensively is Brett Foe. He'll pin the puck behind. He puts a big check on Moorick. That's a rare hit there from Brett Foe, who gets his Falcons a change there as the puck caroms back into the Minnesota State end of the ice. Conrad narrowly evades the forecheck there by Brody Waters. Jaden Grant will chase. Steinman out of the net to try and stop the puck. Hodson down behind the goal line to Crampton. It's kept in the own zone by Minnesota State. Out to neutral ice. Mason Wheeler, the captain of this Maverick team, will play the puck. Jack Smith loses possession. Hodson's tumbled down to the ice, and it looks like a penalty is most likely going to be upcoming to Minnesota State. It's going to be Jack Smith, and he'll skate off without argument. And it's going to be 2 minutes for tripping up the streaking Tyler Hodson. So it's going to be a power play attempt for Bowling Green, which has not been their strong point this season. 0 for 10 on their last 10 power play attempts. Coming in to the series, sub 20% conversion rate on their power plays. And those last 10 include 9 against Bemidji State. They were 0 for the weekend against Bemidji at home, and 1 against Lake State. They were successful in the second game against Lake State. They were 1 for 3 in that game against the Lakers. Dom Ryman with the puck in the left wing with a man advantage for Bowling Green for the next minute 45. Out to the blue line. Crampton plays it across to the right wing. Tyler Hodson. Hodson defended by Scholl. Scholl will get, almost a breakaway chance there. The puck was passed just a bit long. He had a step ahead of Braden Crampton back on defense for the Falcons, so a break there for the Orange and Brown. Crampton skates through center, leaves it back for Hodson. Hodson takes it up the left wing with a couple of gold jerseys in front of him. Slaps it behind the goal. Ryman gets it away to Brody Waters. Waters back out to the blue line. Crampton down to Waters, right wing, down to the goal line now on the right wing side. It's Hodson out to the blue line. Crampton to Ryman. Dom Ryman back to the middle. Crampton's got open ice. Slap shot deflected away. Looked like it hit off of number 22, Liam Hupka, playing defense on the penalty kill. And the whistle will sound as the puck caroms up and out of play. A minute exactly left to play in the power play for Bowling Green. No score between the Falcons and the Mavericks here in the Mayo Clinic Health System Event Center in Mankato, Minnesota. Next week, the Falcons will be home against Ferris State under new management. Head coach Brett Riley in his first season from Long Island. Puck back out to the blue line. Outside of the blue line, couldn't hold it in, was Dalton Norris. Norris and Stjernberg, defensemen on this power play unit that'll probably skate out the last minute of power play. Here's Norris. He leaves it back for Brett Foe. Foe up the left wing as Norris put a hit on, and Norrie's going to get given 2 for interference. Looked like Sawyer Scholl took that hit. And Norrie's going to head off. Make it 4-on-4 for 37 seconds. And then a minute 23 of man advantage for Minnesota State. Not a veteran play from the Bowling Green senior captain. Still had a sizable chunk of time left on the power play, and they are not going to be able to get a power play goal off, although they will have a 4-on-4. Connor Levis out, going to take the draw for the Falcons. Normally centerman, but playing on the wing on the fourth line today. Jake Sloan and Noah Morneau, also 2 freshman centermen for the Falcons. Have outshined Connor Levis in the circles a bit, but Levis still a very influential player, scored a goal. Yes, an empty net goal in the Lake State series. Also scored a goal yesterday. Zlinka, Morneau, and Levis, all goal scorers and not major offenders for the Falcons normally. 10:32 left to play in the first, so whistle and the O-zone for the Falcons. They'll take a drop. Got a couple of new guys on the ice. 14 seconds left to play in the 4-on-4. Norris sits in the box for another minute 37. And then a minute 23 of power play for Minnesota State. Noah Morneau in the wheel, 2 goals yesterday. One of the better freshman scorers for this Falcon team. Him and Dom Ryman, maybe the 2 best. Stjernberg dumps it in for a chase by Quinn Emerson behind the goal. Emerson battling for possession of the puck. Evan Murr pins it up behind the goal and trying to get his guy back on the ice. He does so. Jack Smith out of the box, served out his hooking penalty he got for 2 minutes. Successful penalty kill for Minnesota State. Murr down to the goal line. Now a power play for the Mavericks. Evan Murr to the left wing. Played back to Murr in center on the MSU logo inside the blue line. Kept inside the blue line. Good passing for Minnesota State. Watkins the feed in. A nice chance there by Morick, who was grinding down deep. He couldn't get a shot off. Murr back up at the point. Down to the goal line again. Watkins to Conrad. Conrad the shot into the chest of Steinman. And he'll ice play with 47 seconds left to play and man advantage. 9:42 left to play in the first period. No score between these two sides yet. Bowling Green 2-1-2 in CCHA play. Minnesota State 1-1-1. That last one was a shootout win yesterday against Bowling Green. The other two were a regulation win and an overtime loss to St. Thomas. Tracy stops the puck after Bowling Green clears it down off of the face-off win. 35 seconds left for Minnesota State to get a power play goal. Lemire takes it up the right wing. Tristan Lemire is tossed down to the ice by Jaden Grant, who also pins him up in the corner. Puck away to the Falcons. Steinman covers it up on the crease. Bowling Green shoves the pressing body away. That was Charlie Lurie that was getting in close. Tristan Lemire has had the best game of his career yesterday. He had 4 points on 2 goals and 2 assists. The transfer from Western Michigan after last season, transferred to Western Michigan from Denver the season before. 2-time national champ winner is Tristan Lemire. He's also riding a 3-game point streak, 4 goals, 3 assists, and 7 points during those last 3 games that Tristan Lemire has played for Minnesota State. Ralph Bergmanis to the right wing. Lemire now back to Bergmanis. Bergmanis down to the goal line, off of the stick of a Falcon, disrupts the play a bit. Out to Lurie. Lurie to the left wing. No shot by Zetterberg. Pass through the slot is chipped up high in the air off of the Falcon stick. And back at the full strength comes the Falcons. Norrie will skate off the ice. The captain for the Falcons serving 2 and successful penalty kills both ways for Minnesota State and Bowling Green. Back behind the goal is Campbell Sykos. Sykos 1 goal, 3 assists, and 4 points this season. His best paced scoring season so far. If he continues on this pace, 2 of his 3 career goals against Bowling Green. He's been very good this series as he completes a check there on Jake Sloan. There's a nice pass in by Brandon Wynot, extra skating forward today for the Falcons. Minville in behind the goal line. Wynot pushes it into the boards. Emerson battling with the puck on the board to try and peel it off. Stender in there. He presses it in the boards in the offensive zone for Minnesota State. Some big checks going on there, and the Mavericks come away with the puck. Out to Morick wearing gold. Now down the right wing comes Sawyer Scholl. Scholl a backhand try to Steinman. Stender comes barreling into the net and knocks it off its moorings. A little bit of a pushing match going on in the left wing corner in the Bowling Green end of the ice, but 7:43 left to play in the first period. And we'll get our first Juniper Brewing Company timeout. Juniper Brewing Company located at 145 South Main Street, downtown Bowling Green, serving coffee and craft beer and serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner. See the latest menu at juniperbrew.com. You are listening to your home for Falcon Hockey, WBGU 88.1 FM.
Three players from the football program were arrested this weekend. The players, wide receivers Brendan Ridley and Caleb Goodlow, and fullback Leo Kemp, allegedly assaulted a bouncer at Ziggy's around 2 a.m. on Sunday, November 2nd. Ridley and Goodlow allegedly struck the victim multiple times, and when another person went to break up the fight, Kemp put him into a chokehold. The 3 men appeared at Bowling Green Municipal Court on Tuesday morning, with all pleading not guilty. They are charged with first-degree misdemeanor assault, with the maximum punishment of 180 days in jail and a fine up to $1,000. The 3 players are still listed as on the roster as of right now. For more information regarding the developing story, head over to the updated story on bgfalconmedia.com. This has been 60 Seconds in Falcon Athletics.
Check out recaps of this and every BGSU hockey match online at bgfalconmedia.com.
Welcome back to the Mayo Clinic Health System Event Center. Jacob Stender got tossed into the net, the Bowling Green net, and it came off its moorings. That's how he stopped play, but would have stopped play anyway because Breck McKinley apparently was the guilty party of a cross-check against Stender, which sent him into the net. Was not late, so it's only going to be 2-minute minor, but another power play going to be given to Minnesota State, and a no-score game with 7:43 left to play here in the first period. The penalty kill certainly getting some work for the Falcons this week. 3 penalty kills yesterday, and now 2 early in today's game. Minnesota State also able to score a power play goal yesterday. That goal was Tristan Lemaire's second and the third of the first period for Minnesota State and the fifth of the first period for both teams. So the Mavericks on a power play that they had just a minute ago, and puck possession time for the Falcons not going to look too good after this one's killed off. Liam Watkins in the dot up against Connor Levis of Bowling Green. Jaden Grant also out as a forward for the Falcons. Puck won back for Levis. Conrad down to the right wing, pass behind the goal to Morik. Morik opens up the ice a bit to Benincasa. Morik behind the goal to Benincasa, who's got open passing lanes now. Back up to the blue line, Evan Murr. Murr moves over into the center now. Benincasa on the left wing. He dangles the puck down to the goal line, now receives it back off of that pass. Evan Murr with the puck, pass to Benincasa on the left wing. Benincasa switches sides now. Jacob Conrad, the defenseman, on the right wing. Back up to the blue line, held in with the glove by Evan Murr. Back down into the right wing corner. Morik the puck behind the goal. It's bashed up against the netting. Here's a low angle pass there. It's deflected off of the stick. A good stick there by Jaden Grant to get in the way of that pass. Pass across the slot. Benincasa back up to the blue line. Evan Murr down to the left wing. Fan shot by Jacob Conrad, who broke his stick. It's a 4-on-4 until the sophomore defenseman can get a new twig. He'll just take a step off the ice as Bowling Green clears the puck down. Noah Morneau into the offensive zone. He's the first there. Loses possession of the puck as he crossed it over toward the slot area from the right wing, and Minnesota State will reset. Noah Morneau, 2 goals yesterday. The high-scoring Bowling Green forward also on the penalty kill now. Quinn Emerson also out there. Ivan Karodiak and Jackson Niedermeyer now skating as a defenseman for Bowling Green the last few games. Lurie in the corner. Lemire down to the goal line, now back to Lurie. Back up to the top, Ralph Bergmanis to Lurie. Lurie fans on his slap shot. Into the right wing corner, still in the Bowling Green end of the ice. The Falcons, Karodiak tries to get it out. Bergmanis now works it over into the slot. His shot into Steinman, and a glove save by the freshman goaltender for Bowling Green. Under 6 left to play here in the first period. 15 seconds left on the power play for Minnesota State. Levis and Duran skate out for the Falcons on this change. Braden Crampton and Gustav Sternberg back as defense. Bowling Green's going to have 3 defensemen on the ice here in a second because McKinley is going to come out. Crampton, face-off win by Bowling Green. Crampton ices it back down to the other end of the ice outside of the blue line. Murr with the puck with Bergmanis out there as well. We'll have to see a reset from the Mavericks. Connor Levis on a solid stick check there out at the neutral zone. McKinley will skate out of the box, beeline over toward the bench, and Bowling Green with 2 successful penalty kills early in this game. 5:30 left to play in the first period, back up to even strength. 2-man forecheck for the Falcons. Pass up to Ron. Jordan Ron down in behind the goal line, played by Steinman as he steps out of the crease. Ron puts on a check to Tyler Hodson. Back behind the goal is Finn Williams. Williams played for Notre Dame 2 years ago and then played a season in the USHL and now is back in NCAA with Minnesota State. Up to Mason LaBelle. LaBelle puts it into the half wall as he chases it into the O-zone. Breck McKinley down behind the goal line in the Bowling Green end of the ice. Niedermeyer skates away with the puck defensively. Up to the right wing. Hodson off the boards, takes the check, fires it into the O-zone. Psychos will get it away to Finn Williams. Finn Williams is poke checked away by Tyler Hodson, and Minnesota State comes up with the puck anyway. They feed it up the ice. Long for Jordan Rahn as the puck caroms back down into the Minnesota State end of the ice on an icing against the Falcons. A new set of Mavericks on the ice, the same set of Falcons on the ice. Duran, Waters, and Tyler Hodson. Duran and Waters, no strangers to each other, played on a first line a lot of last season with Ryan O'Hara. At the end of the season, Waters knocked down to second or third line, and Quinn Emerson up to that first line with O'Hara and Duran, but they've played with each other quite a bit. Neither one of them have been too offensively present this season so far. A good sign for the Falcons because you know what you have in them, and you're seeing better stuff out of the younger guys. As here's a shot in from the point to Steinman, who covers it up quickly again. 4:20 left to play in the first, still no score. But if you had to choose early season on, you know, whether you want the veterans or the rookies to be getting good play, you'd rather see the rookies because you know, or at least expect that the veterans will straighten themselves out. And by veterans, you look toward Jaden Grant, who's got 2 goals in 1 game and no points other than that. Ben Duran, Brody Waters, and a couple of other guys that have been with the program for a while and just haven't been able to find too much offense so far. Norris, a solid check there. Puck in the Bowling Green end of the ice, kept in barely by Minnesota State. It's flung into the corner of the Bowling Green zone. Sternberg back to Foe. Foe turned his back to the puck. Now he's got it back. Skates it outside of the Bowling Green end of the ice. Pass up to Brody Waters. Waters leaves it back. Some open ice there. A shot by Norris. Puck is covered up by Alex Tracy as it was dropped down just north of the crease. Some extracurriculars going on, but Tracy able to freeze play. Under 4 left to play in the first period. A nice chance by the Falcons. Yeah, you see there Brett Foe getting in tight with the goaltender, something he doesn't do too much. But an odd rush for the Falcons. Brett Foe in a position that he's normally not in, and Dalton Norris, the lead man, into the zone as he took that shot from around dot height in between the Minnesota State wheels. No more no. 3 straight games of exactly 10 face-off wins. He's got 30 wins to just around 11 face-off losses. Down back into the Bowling Green end of the ice after a face-off win by Morneau that the puck just carried back into the orange and brown end of the ice. 3:20 left to play in the first. Shot in by Murr from the right wing blue line corner, and Steinman clears that up into the netting to freeze play. Big aspect to this game is, I'm sure, Nate Henners, Nathan Burkett, and Dan Ridenauer back in the Cooling Center studios will talk about intermissions and the post game as well when the game's over. Alex Tracy, a senior and a veteran goaltender in the CCHA, the best goaltender in the CCHA for any money of anybody that's a fan of any team in the conference. He's the best. It's Jacob Steinman out of Halifax in the QMJHL, the Quebec Maritime Junior Hockey League. Just a freshman for the Falcons, and he's trying to make his bid to beat Alex Tracy today. Tracy allowed 4 goals yesterday in 60 minutes of work. Jacob Steinman allowed only 1 in 51 minutes of work, relieving Cole Moore, who gave up 3 goals within his first 10 minutes of play. Didn't even get to the 10-minute mark before he was yanked, and Steinman was put in the game. Evan Murr takes a check. Sloan dumps it back down to Tracy. Tracy will stop the puck on the WCHA logo behind his net here in the first period. WCHA referring to the conference of the Minnesota State women's hockey team. Campbell Psychos' sister, Mika Psychos, plays for that team. Has yet to score a point, though, this season for the female Mavericks. Puck into the right wing corner in the Bowling Green end of the ice. Out to Campbell Psychos. Psychos looking for a pass. Looking for a shot now. He flings it high over the head of Steinman, who lets the puck go. Psychos can't hold it inside the blue line. He takes a slap shot to feed it into the offensive zone as the Mavericks have to touch up. Deep pass up to Jeremy Minville. Minville pokes it to Noah Morneau. Morneau moves it in. He's in tight with Tracy, and it's swept away by the Mavericks They go 2-on-2 the other way. Tristan Lemire with Luigi Benincasa. Now Sawyer Scholl out there as well, and the Falcons get back in time. A nice back check by the Bowling Green defenseman to get back and not allow a breakaway for Minnesota State, who they scored their 3 goals in the first period yesterday on breakaways and waves. Not really too much offense. Here's Dom Ryman. He gets the puck poked away. 1:30 left to play here in the first period. Bowling Green in the O-zone. Held in by McKinley, and now he feigns on his pass and hits off of the backside of his stick, and it's back into the Bowling Green end of the ice. So McKinley will reset with the puck. Pass up to central ice. It's picked off by Stender. Sawyer Scholl with the puck. Passes it in down deep for Stender to chase. McKinley avoids a hit. Puck away to Ryman. Up to the blue line. Dumped down by Lurie. Steinman stops the puck outside of the crease. Off the high glass and back down for Ralph Bergmanis. In for Minnesota State in his own zone. You hear the PA announcer say 1 minute left to play. Puck dropped down in front of Steinman. Morick couldn't settle it down as the puck was bounding. Tough to get tape on that puck. Bergmanis down to the goal line. Deflected in toward Steinman, and he covers up the puck with 45 seconds left to play in period number 1. Still no score between these two teams, and they've played 3 periods in a row of very tight hockey, the likes of which we saw at home against Bemidji State. Both of those games last week at home against Bemidji, the Falcons had overtimes in 2 different senses, trailing 2 goals to tie it up in the first game and leading 2 goals in the third period and allowing Bemidji to tie it up on 2 power play goals in the second. But now playing tight with a Maverick team that was one of the favorites, if not the favorite, to win the CCHA McNaughton Cup for the regular season and the Mason Cup for the CCHA tournament. Puck onto the left wing. Adams Linko with the puck down to the goal line, pressed up by Bergmanis. Gets it away to the orange and brown, and now picked off by Alex Zetterberg, distant relative of Henrik Zetterberg of the Detroit Red Wings, one of the best centermen in Red Wings history, one of my favorite players of all time as well. Of course, one of the big duos for the Red Wings with Pavel Datsyuk back in the day. 15 seconds left to go in the first period. Puck still pinned up behind the goal of Alex Tracy in the left wing corner of the Bowling Green O-zone. Norris and Crampton looking to keep the puck in the O-zone before time expires. Zetterberg battling with the puck to get it outside the blue line, and Jack Smith will skate out the first period. So 20 miles skated by these two teams and no score through 1 period of play. We'll send it back to Nate, Nathan, and Dan back in the WBGU 88.1 FM studios back in the Cooling Center. You're listening to your home for Falcon Hockey.
Looking for a BG Athletics discussion show? Check out The Swoop, where a rotating cast of Falcon Media Sports Network co-hosts talk everything BGSU Athletics. New episodes are available every Tuesday at 6 p.m. on the BG Falcon Media YouTube channel.
The Bowling Green men's basketball team looks to keep the momentum going at home against the Lemoyne College Dolphins on Sunday, November 9th. Head over to bgfalconmedia.com on Falcon Radio at 1:35 p.m. for the pregame show with Falcon Media Sports Network's Nate Henners, Dawson Pelter, and Sam Bork, and stay tuned for the game with Artie Abrego and Dan Ridenauer on the call. The football team faces a change in coaching staff with the offensive coordinator Travis Partridge being relieved of his duties, head coach Eddie George announced during Monday's press conference. Partridge was the OC for Eddie George at Tennessee State during the 2024 season. That was only his second season as an offensive coordinator. Unfortunately, our offensive performance is not achieving expectations. We want to thank Travis for his contributions to the Bowling Green program, said Eddie George during the press conference. Co-offensive coordinator and offensive line coach Greg Nosel will be calling plays for the team. Bowling Green's offense ranks 9th out of the 13 teams in the MAC with 304.9 total yards per game and 10th with 18.2 points per game. This has been 60 Seconds in Falcon Athletics.
Welcome into our Falcon Media Sports Network, our first intermission report brought to you by Rick Crow, longtime BGSU hockey fan and listener of Falcon Hockey on WBGU 88.1 FM. So welcome into our first intermission report. Nate Henners here in the WBGU 88.1 FM studio, joined by
Nathan Burkett,
Dan Ridenauer,
and now
Austin Roos.
All right, Austin joining us now. A little late to the pregame, but it's okay. I almost was late tonight too, and it would have been worse if I was late. I read the schedule wrong, but luckily I caught it before I got. Okay, anyways.
Time zones are confusing.
It is. I almost read 8 o'clock, so it could have been a disaster, but luckily we avoided that, for me at least. All right. Anyways, first, getting into our first intermission report. Dan, what has happened in this matchup so far?
So far, Minnesota State has gotten 50% of their shots on goal. They have attempted 16 and gotten 8, actually, on the freshman Jacob Steinman. Bowling Green has shot 8 and has attempted 13 on Alex Tracy. So that is kind of the basis. Still looking at a 0-0 score so far. No goals, no assists, no power play goals. And Bowling Green currently 0 for 1 on the power play. Minnesota State 0 for 2. And also, we talk about a lot the face-offs. Bowling Green has won 13 face-offs. Minnesota State has won 6. So those are some kind of overview with the team stats in terms of what's going on so far. And also with Bowling Green, Gustav Sternberg is a shot on goal. Dalton Norris, though, leads the team with 2 so far, and so does Braden Crampton and all of them. So now we take it back a little bit more. Also, Minnesota State getting into the swing of things here, where they have it going in the same situation as Bowling Green, yet to score.
All right, thanks, Dan. Coming up, we will have our Falcon Media Sports Network Analyst Roundtable as we continue on with the Rick Crow First Intermission Report here on WBGU 88.1 FM.
Since the day I stopped drinking, my life has gotten better and better. I can't take any credit for it. It just seems that without alcohol, I think better, I'm more careful with money, I watch what I say, I don't get into trouble like I did when I was drinking. It's scary trying to walk through life alone, and today I have that very distinct feeling that I don't ever have to be alone again.
Visit AA.org for more information and download the Meeting Guide app to find a...
Here's the deal. We gotta set ourselves up. See, retirement is the long game. We gotta make moves and make them early. Set up goals. Don't worry about a setback. Just save up and stack up to reach them. Let's put ourselves in the right position. Pre-game to greater things.
Start building your retirement plan at thisispretirement.org. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the Rick Crow First Intermission Report here on WBGU 88.1 FM from the Falcon Media Sports Network. So Austin, Dan, and Nathan talking more about this first part of the matchup. What are some things you guys have seen from the Falcons and the Mavericks, and what are you guys looking forward to for the rest of the match?
Yeah, I think it's been definitely a slower start compared to yesterday's game that we saw, of course, 5 goals in the first period in that one. No goals so far in this one. But I think there are some things to take away, one of which being BG's penalty kills so far. Minnesota State on the season has converted 30% of their power plays, and BG so far has held them 0-2 on the first period, and I think that's a pretty big deal.
I would say it's a definitely big deal in terms of the defensive side, where you've had to get this improvement going. You wanted to get it back over again, and currently, you are doing those improvements. You have the same amount of shots as them as 8, but also looking at the BG team that averages 2 goals a game. Obviously, you got that over on the average yesterday. Currently still kind of a lot of time to tell, but you're down where you were yesterday, where Bowling Green scored 2 in the first period. Now they have none. So a lot more scoring yesterday. Part of that could be, that, BG a little more tired, being, from a hotel. They were not at home, and then Minnesota State in a bit of a situation where they were at home, but still kind of a little bit more tired. So you're definitely seeing that second game drag that you tend to see in college hockey with a currently 0-0 score.
Absolutely. Got to give a massive shout out to Jacob Steinman so far. He's now up to 28 saves on the weekend. Came in relief of Cole Moore last night. Tonight he gets the nod to be the starter. And just like last night, he's locked in, made all 8 saves. Between the two teams, Bowling Green over the last couple of weeks has had to make a lot of comebacks against Bemidji, against last night multiple times against this Minnesota State Mavericks team. But in this situation, it feels like it's a new game. Like it's almost going into the second period, it's almost just a restart of the first period, because not only is the scoreline the same, the shots on goal are still tied. Basically, almost every single stat for the most part is tied or close enough where you can basically call it a tie.
All right, coming up, we will have our what's going on around the CCHA, and as we continue our player of the game watch discussion after the first period, some players we're looking forward to as we continue on with this matchup tonight against Minnesota State here on WBGU 88.1 FM.
I learned patience from my adoptive dad. All he had to say was,
"Hey, you got this. Just breathe." Hey, we're pretty good.
Yeah.
Might have to start a band.
I got it.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
I'm the threat that's already inside the house. I can't be scared away or negotiated with. You can't call the cops on me. You can't even see me. I'm the threat of family fire, and as long as your guns aren't stored securely, I'll be there. Protect your family. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by Brady and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the Rick Crow First Intermission Report here on WBGU 88.1 FM as the Falcon hockey team is taking on the Minnesota State Mavericks up in Mankato, Minnesota. So get into our Falcon Media Sports Network Player of the Game watch. Dan, Austin, and Nathan, some players you guys are watching as we get into the second and third periods.
I mean, so far it's been all goaltenders. Both Alex Tracy from Minnesota State and Jacob Steinman, the freshman for BG, have made 8 saves. Both have a 100 save percentage so far tonight. No specific player has really stuck out to me when it comes to the skaters as having a mind-blowing performance so far. Braden Crampton currently leads the Falcons in shots with 2. Minnesota State has Scholl, Murr, and Conrad all have 2 for their lead in shots. So no one's really been sticking out to me so far. It's still early in the game. Unlike last night, it seems more of a slow start. So we'll see who impresses in the second or third periods.
This is definitely the Alex Tracy and the Jacob Steinman show tonight so far. And, a lot more hockey up ahead to see what will change from this. But, I mean, looking at Steinman, playing the 4 games so far, he's gotten the majority of the opportunities for BG. And even though he didn't start yesterday, Cole Moore did. He still came in for relief for the goaltender. So seeing him on that end and then also seeing Alex Tracy, I mean, we already know, like Nate rambled it off in the pregame, all the accolades he had and getting a rare opportunity to be a finalist for the Hobie Baker Award, which is a very skater-dominant award, and with 2 Falcons who have won that in their history. But beyond that, I think definitely so far tonight this is definitely a defensive and goaltender battle, and it really goes down to the last line of defense. This is the Alex Tracy and Jacob Steinman show so far.
Yeah, and I'd say while it is so far a goalie showdown and a defensive showdown, I would definitely look towards some players like freshman defender Braden Crampton, who has 2 shots on goal tonight. He recorded his 2nd goal yesterday. Just a couple players that could show up on the stat sheet later in the game in an important time.
All right, just about 5 minutes away now from the second period up in Mankato. Taking a look now at what's going on around the CCHA. First up, we got Michigan Tech and Northern Michigan. Michigan Tech up right now 3-1 in the third period with 19:44 left to go there. That game being held up in Marquette. Augustina and Ferris State still in action. They're also in the third period. Ferris State is up 2-0 with 9:53 left in the third, and that one being held in Big Rapids, Minnesota. And finally, you guys gotta help me with this one again. Got it?
Bemidji State.
Bemidji State, did I get it?
Yes.
Okay, I got it. So they're up 1 over Lake Superior State. That's in the second, just about to start up in the second for them too. So yeah, that's going on in. I forgot it. What's the name again?
Bemidji.
Bemidji. See, this is the thing about me not being a big hockey fan is like when I hear these names from Minnesota, it takes a little bit to learn them. So by the end of the season, you will hear me say names correctly. Right now, let's take one more quick break, and we'll be back with our final thoughts as we get you ready for the second period as the Falcons get ready to take on Minnesota State in the second period here on WBGU 88.1 FM. Welcome back. Just a few minutes away now from puck drop for the second period as the Falcons take on the Minnesota State Mavericks. Get ready to continue on taking on the Mavericks. Just real quick, an update on my CCHA scoreboard. What's the correct pronunciation?
Bemidji.
No, the other one. Augustana. Okay. Augustana and Big Rapids, Michigan. Again, Ferris State up 2-0 on Augustana, and that's in Big Rapids, Michigan, because the CCHA, I'm my first hockey show here for Falcon Media Sports Network, so we will get it by the time the season is over. Just got to give a quick correction there. All right, anyways, as we get ready for our coverage to resume from Mankato, Minnesota, what are your guys' final thoughts as we get you ready for the second period?
BG needs to get more shots on goal. And we mentioned crashing the net. That's can only get you so far. If you're not getting shots on Tracy, it doesn't matter if you crash the net.
Well, and on to that point, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. I think it was either Michael Scott or the second most goals in NHL history who said that. I don't remember exactly who. But
it was actually Wayne's dad, Walter Gretzky, who came up with that quote.
I see. But anyways, as I was saying, they're going to have to just take the attempts, and they need to be more accurate for sure. And on to that point is just beginning with the attempts and getting it back through. So kind of, repeating with that regard is just you got to get it going and you got to get those shots going and get the attempts.
Austin, real quick.
Yeah, I'd say stay out of penalty trouble. 9 games so far this season. Minnesota State has 12 power play goals. They got away with it in the first period. You can't get in more trouble. They will make you pay.
All right, thanks, Austin, Dan, and Nathan. Let's hand things on back out to Minnesota with Ben Korak as he gets you ready for the second period. Hey, Ben.
Hey, Nate. Great job, you guys. Austin, Nathan, and Dan back there. Nate Henners, one of our best board operators, runs Falcon Radio, streams at bgfalconmedia.com. Just don't ask this kid to say Bemidji or Augustana because he'll mess it up somehow. But, yeah, we love Nate and everything that he does for our organization and all the guys back in the booth that did a fantastic job at the Red Crow First Intermission Report. Only a couple seconds expired here in the second period. It's an icing against the Falcons, so it'll come back down to the Bowling Green end. Thankfully, some fresh legs on the ice for the Falcons, who are tied 0-0 with Minnesota State here at the Health Clinic, or Mayo Clinic Health System Event Center. Jacob Stender in the dot to go against Noah Morneau. Morneau and the starters back out for the Falcons. Morneau playing on the line with Ryman and Emerson as his wingers, Norris Crampton as defenseman, and Jacob Steinman on the left side of your radio dial now in the net for Bowling Green. Stender on the forecheck. The puck is away from the Falcons down into Alex Tracy, who puts a stick on it to just coax it away from his crease out to center ice. Stender with speed takes it in down the right wing. He's got a 2-on-4, and Bowling Green got back in numbers there, and the Falcons able to stifle that opportunity. That was a pass intended for Reed Morick. Now to Dom Ryman. Ryman is pressured away from the puck. Evan Murr getting him into the boards. Every time Dom Ryman touches the puck, it seems like Minnesota State's getting on him quickly. They know how dangerous of a skater he is. Off of the half wall, down outside the blue line. McKinley will chase it down, and icing against Minnesota State. It is the second period. Only 55 seconds expired in the second, and the Falcons this season have been outscored 11-4 in the second period. That's the biggest disparity that they've had out of any of the three periods. Overtime, they're also trailing 1-0 with the overtime loss to Bemidji. But in the first period, they're leading opponents 4-2. In the third period, they're leading opponents 7-3. It's just this second period that has spelled disaster for Bowling Green on multiple occasions, notably Niagara, notably Bemidji. A couple of other games as well that have been high-scoring seconds for Bowling Green opponents. Down into the Bowling Green end of the ice, Sawyer Scholl playing the puck behind the goal. He gets it out to Jack Smith to play. Smith, the centerman, on the second line of forwards with Charlie Lurie and Alex Zetterberg. Lurie chases the puck. Stjernberg with the puck on his stick. Up to Waters. Waters gives a tip. Brett Foe will range into the offensive zone. Battles with Jacob Conrad. Conrad takes a stumble into the boards, out to the blue line. Crampton's able to hold it in, and he gets it to his partner on the left side. That's Norris back to Crampton. Crampton on the left side now, shot in off of the stick of Foe, off of the skate of a Maverick defenseman, and it's kept inside the blue line by Adam Zlinka down in the right wing corner. Now Jacob Conrad comes up with the puck. It's up the ice, touched up at center, so the icing is waved off. Crampton takes a pretty sizable check. Benincasa, a good move, pulls it down the left side. Another good move, wraps it over. A shot here from Lupka, and he fires it wide of the net. Steinman was beat on that play, and luckily Hupka was not able to get that clean shot off. Lurie on the right wing now. Pass across. Oh, a nice feed into Lemire, and Lemire couldn't land it to his tape. Now here's Wheeler ranging in. Left wing wheel. Up, tipped up in the air. Steinman, it's left back. Steinman can't cover the puck up. Lemire, another shot. It is off of the knee of Dalton Norris, it looks like. Another shot in by Minnesota State. They've got 3 shots on goal in this offensive zone possession. Lemire back out to Benincasa, now out to the blue line. Wheeler keeps it inside the blue line to the right wing. Hupka down past the goal line. Wheeler's going to range in now. High slot. Disks it out to Benincasa on the left wing. Takes it down into the corner behind the goal. Bowling Green's got a long change now, so they're going to have to clear it out and get some new guys because they're skating tired. And Minnesota State's got an easy change. A feed in there to Sawyer Scholl, who couldn't get the slap past Steinman from the left wing. Everything running from the left wing this drive for Minnesota State. Lemire a shot. Beats Steinman, but he lets it go to the half wall anyway. Benincasa gets the puck back. Looking for a pass. Gets it to the right wing. Oh, what a save by Steinman. Hodson to clear it out. He can't get it out. Bowling Green skating wildly tired. Held inside the blue line by Bergmanis. New set of guys out for Minnesota State. Not all, but some. Down to the goal line. Fed over towards Steinman, who lost sight of the puck and now gets his sight back. Psychos with the puck on the right wing. Shot in. Dropped down in front of Steinman. It's kept inside the blue line by Psychos. This drive's still going. 16:20 left to play in the second period. Slap shots. Psychos just wide left of the goal of Steinman. Now to Jordan Ron. Ron back around. Possession kind of up in the air now. Finn Williams and the left wing boards. Again, Minnesota State has the short change, and they're able to keep feeding guys as this puck caroms outside the blue line. Bowling Green gets a one-man change. It's Jake Sloan. That's fresh for the Falcons. Brandon Wynot out there as well. Williams can't connect with the puck on the right wing. Minnesota State fires in across the nose of Steinman, and it won't connect with a golden purple stick. Now behind the goal. LaBelle with a pass. It won't land. Evan Murr crashing in toward the goal line. Now at the high slot. The right-handed shot takes it down to the left wing. Looking for a pass now. Out to the blue line, outside of the blue line. Good stick by Brandon Wynot. Gets a couple of more guys change. Adam Zlinka off. Jeremy Minville on. Evan Murr with the puck in the neutral zone. Minnesota State has not surrendered possession and about 4 minutes of game time. Jacobs Stender out. Wynot gets it outside the blue line, and then what was the call there? Wynot looks like he's going to be sent off for something. 15-13 left to play in the second period. Minnesota State putting up a clinic and shots on goal. Wynot, it's like a elbowing call against Wynot, and Bowling Green will head onto another penalty kill. Jack Smith in the dot with Noah Morneau for the Falcons with 4. Minnesota State with 5. Down behind the goal line. It's going to be a false start, and we'll reset play here in the Bowling Green end of the ice. 3 penalties now out of the Falcons. Norris, McKinley, and Brandon Wynot. And Jack Smith, the only penalty for Minnesota State, so they're looking to capitalize on their 3rd power play of the game. Have yet to score a goal. Neither team has scored a goal yet. Off of the high glass and out to central ice. Ralph Bergmanis will play the puck. Alex Zetterberg and Jack Smith skating as forwards, as well as Charlie Lurie, who's cherry picking down the other end of the ice. He'll have to get on sides now. Down the right wing comes Lemire. Lemire to the left wing. Jack Smith back to Lemire, and who tips the puck back out to the blue line. Bergmanis to the left wing. Zetterberg down to the goal line. Good shot into Jack Smith, and he missed it right. Stjernberg gives a check on to Jack Smith, who's still down on the ice, and now he gets back up and into the play. Bowling Green ices the puck back down on a good finishing check there by Adam Zlinka. Korodiak and McKinley to play defense now. Sorry, it was Morneau that skated off Zlinka that skates on for Morneau. Watkins down the left wing. He's got Benincasa there as well. It's out to Conrad on the right wing. Gets a check from Zlinka. Puck away. Off the stick of a Falcon and to Benincasa. Benincasa out to the middle blue line. Evan Murr distributes it out to the right wing. Now Murr fakes a slap shot. Peels it to the right. Back to Jacob Conrad. Conrad, the transfer from Lake State. Shot in. Blocked by Korodiak into the boards. Whistle's going to blow. And the puck goes out of play, it looks like, and we're going to have to get a new one. 42 seconds left to play in the power play for Minnesota State. 13:55 left to play in the second period. Has been dominated by Minnesota State on the penalties by Bowling Green. That is, I believe it was Austin Roos in our Rick Crow first intermission report that said, stay out of the box. Bowling Green outscored, as we mentioned before, 11-4 in second periods this season. To Benincasa, now to the right wing, Conrad. Conrad down to the goal line, off of the stick of the Falcon. Watkins will get control of the puck, but messes with the passing a little bit of this Minnesota State team. Benincasa on the left wing. At the left wing wheel. His pass in is blocked by Niedermeyer off of his skate. Now out to the blue line again to Murr. Evan Murr, defenseman of the year last year for the CCHA. He's got the puck. His shot in towards Steinman, and it kicks off of Steinman, off of Stjernberg it looked like, and out to the right wing corner for Minnesota State. Still in the Bowling Green O-zone. Tipped over. It's a 2-on-1 now. Kind of odd man for Minnesota State. It's dropped down in front of the crease. A shot and a score! Benincasa on the back door. He gives Minnesota State a 1-0 lead. An odd play developing that whole time. Every player on the ice in the Bowling Green end of the ice, and yet still the Mavericks found a way. Liam Watkins with a nice spinning pass to Benincasa on the back door from the left wing. First goal of the game is here in the second period after a 5-goal first period yesterday, and goal differential for the Falcons continues to get worse in the second. They give up the first goal of the game to Minnesota State. Benincasa's got his 4th goal of the season, trailing the team leader in goals, Tristan Lemire, by just 1. Watkins and Murr each have their another assist. Watkins has got his 7th assist of the season, the team leader in assists now, and Evan Murr's got his 3rd assist of the season as there's a shot into Tracy. Tracy gives a shove to the Bowling Green forward as Wheeler ties up that player, and it's getting a little chippy here. Wheeler will not let go of what looks to be Brody Waters, and they still won't let each other skate off and get a change as the rest of the Falcons and Mavericks do. 12:30 left to play in the second period. 1-0 Minnesota State leads. And the wheel, Jaden Grant, nothing coming from that scrum behind the goal of Alex Tracy. We're in the O-zone now for Bowling Green, and 7.5 minutes expired and barely any offense put on for the Falcons. They have 10 shots on goal. Minnesota State's got 14. Stjernberg down behind the goal line. It's out to the right wing now, played by Jordan Rahn. Down to Bergmanis. Bergmanis out to his skating partner. That's Bryce Strand. Strand, no points yet this season. Native of Green Bay, Wisconsin, the son of head coach Luke Strand, who's in his 3rd season with Minnesota State. A 49-26-9 record for Luke Strand in his 3 years here in Mankato. As there's a face-off coming to center ice and offsides against Minnesota State, I believe. So Granner will head back into the wheel for the Falcons. 19-7. The Falcons have won face-offs. Coming into the weekend, we're the leader in NCAA in face-off winning percentage at approaching 60%. They led, but just barely yesterday over Minnesota State, and are leading quite handily today. Down the right wing comes Zetterberg. He's pummeled into the boards and is kind of doubled over there. It's out to Hupka at the blue line to Conrad. Conrad banks it in. Steinman pushes the puck away as it banks off of the half wall and toward him. Hupka will retrieve back into his own zone, and Minnesota State will reset. Pass to Stender. Stender with a breakaway. Backhand saved by Steinman, cleared away from the danger area. Now up to Tristan Lemire. Lemire pushes it into the corner. It banks off the half wall and down behind the goal line. Now to the left wing. Watkins is pressed up against the boards by Morneau, who takes Watkins down to the ice. We're going to get a penalty, most likely against Noah Morneau, and Bowling Green will go on yet another penalty kill. It is going to be Morneau that skates off for the Falcons. First line center today, out with Ryman and Emerson. Holding is the call, as he was catching the body of Watkins up against the boards. I mean, they were wrestling each other. Could have gone either way, but a penalty is called by the referees here in Minnesota State, and they'll go on yet another power play. Haven't scored on a power play so far, but did get their goal in this period. That was Luigi Benincasa a bit ago. Plays ice down by Bowling Green, who will get a change, and again, they're changing long now. Their bench, the rightmost bench on your radio dial, and their net, the leftmost net. So Minnesota State will get a short change on their power plays. Niedermeyer disrupts the entry from Lemire. It's kicked away. Bowling Green will have a chance to ice this one back down, and they do, but only to center ice. Bergmanis plays the puck. He's got Lurie, and he's got Lemire. Lemire winds through a couple of Falcons, dishes the puck out to the left wing, turns it over to Stjernberg. Now a breakaway. Quinn Emerson down the left wing. Emerson makes a good move. He's pressed away, but a penalty is called on Rouse Bergmanis. It looks like a tripping against Quinn Emerson. And we'll either see 2 minutes served out, or we're going to see a penalty shot. Emerson on a pretty free breakaway, and the stick of Bergmanis just got in tight with the skates, and Bowling Green's going to elect for a 4-on-4 instead. Probably a smart play considering they're killing off their own penalty. We're going to get a minute 4 of 4-on-4. And then 56 seconds of power play for the Falcons. A break there for Bowling Green, who was looking for their 4th penalty kill straight. Ben Duran in the dot for the 4-on-4. Crampton and Norris back as defensemen. Duran and Foe up as forwards. Evan Murr pins the puck in the right wing boards of the Bowling Green O-zone. The battle is won by Murr. The puck is away by Scholl. Minnesota State skating with the 4-on-4. Can't be too lackadaisical because in just 45 seconds, Falcon will come out of the box. I believe it's Brandon Wynot, and He's going to get back into play. Minnesota State in the O-zone quickly. Evan Murr at the blue line. He's got 2 Falcons pressuring him. Now he dishes the puck out. Sawyer Scholl leaves it back for Conrad. Jacob Conrad, top of the wheel, now to Murr. Back to Conrad. Conrad, high left wheel. His shot gloved nicely by Jacob Steinman as he sees it into the webbing. 9:30 left to play in the second period. 18 seconds left to play on Bowling Green's penalty kill, and then 56 seconds of power play for the Falcons. The children here in Mankato were ready to skate out on the ice, to shovel the ice during the media timeout, but we're during a power play, so no media timeout until the next stoppage after both penalties are killed off or scored on. Tyler Hodson in the dot, the transfer from RPI. Jack Smith, the transfer from Minnesota Duluth, in the dot for Minnesota State. Won by the Falcons. Dom Ryman skates it back into his end of the ice behind the goal line. He and Stjernberg are back there. He holds onto the puck behind Steinman, and he'll just wait for why not to come out of the box. Now McKinley will take it up. I'm sorry, it's Morneau in the box. Morneau on the left wing. Pretty good offensive player for the Falcons. 2 goals yesterday. The game-tying goal in the third period, especially the best one. Minnesota State sporting a 1-goal lead here. 35 seconds left to play in the power play for Bowling Green. McKinley to the right wing. There's Tyler Hodson. Hodson back up to the point. McKinley to Ryman. Back to the point to McKinley, who holds it inside the blue line. Ryman takes a couple of steps in. Crossover, a nice chance there for Noah Morneau. That was camped out in the slot. And now battling for the puck in the corner is Waters. Waters to Morneau. Morneau looking for a pass. He's dropped down. Another penalty coming. Slap shot for Dom Ryman. It's touched by Minnesota State as Steinman was skating off the ice. A wild sequence there, but Bowling Green's going to get 11 seconds of 5-on-3. And then quite a bit of time of just straight-up power plays. Mason Wheeler, a pretty good penalty killer, will skate off for the Mavericks. 2 for Hooken. A lot of penalties today. Now 3 for Minnesota State and 4 for Bowling Green through about a period and a half of play. A big opportunity here for Bowling Green if they can score within the next 11, but just scoring it all within the next 2 minutes would be huge to tie this game up against number 16 team in the nation. Dom Ryman, high right wheel, now moves it to the left wing. Back to Ryman. Ryman, a slap shot is blocked by Scholl, who clears it out. 2-on-1 back, coming out of the box, a breakaway for Bergmanis. Bergmanis looking for a pass. He's got Stender. Stender gets saved by Steinman. What a stop by the freshman. Right out of the box comes Bergmanis. A 3 on pretty much nobody. And Steinman able to come up with the stop. What a play by the freshman goaltender. Bergmanis, that pass to Stender. Stender moved it to the backhand, which was the left side of the right side of the goal, and tried to beat Steinman on the pad. Number 1, standing tall. 5-on-4 for Bowling Green for the next 1:40. The faceoff is back in their own zone, though. Ben Duran for the draw. 1 to Emerson. Emerson leaves it back, and now Bowling Green will take it up from their own end of the ice. Norris out at center ice, leaves it back to the right wing. Duran to Stjernberg. Stjernberg at the point, up to the top of Norris. Now back to Stjernberg. Stjernberg at the top, moving toward the middle. Down to the left wing, about mid-wheel. Down behind the goal, now to the left wing again. Back up to the top, Stjernberg to Norris. Norris moves it into the middle. Now to the left wing. It's Ben Duran. Duran on the left wing, down to the goal line. Crossing play. What a shot! What a score! On the backside. Looked like a pass from the goal line. Brett Foe able to pound it home. His first goal of the season, his 3rd point I believe it was Quinn Emerson down at the goal line with a good pass, low angle pass. A low angle shot by Foe has beat Tracy and ties the game up at 1 on the power play. .7:31 left to play in the second. A brand new hockey game as the ice is tilted back level. Breck McKinley back in his own zone. Korodiak the pass up, gets tipped over to Jaden Grant. Jaden Grant works in now. He puts a backhand on. Steinman with the save. Minnesota State clears it away from danger. Out to the blue line. McKinley, his shot in, deflected by Grant in front. Tyler Hodson back behind the goal. Bowling Green immediately back out onto the offense. Nice pass down there to McKinley. McKinley looks to feed it over into the slot. Hodson fires it in to the freshman Noah Morneau. Now Grant behind the goal. Back down behind to Tyler Hodson. Minnesota State seems to have lost a step after that penalty kill a second ago that Bowling Green was able to score on. Now Hodson on a 3-on-2 for Bowling Green. To the right wing, McKinley. McKinley, a nice shot. A rebound chance for Hodson, and he couldn't settle the puck down. Grant into Hodson. Hodson in tight with Tracy. He pulled it to his forehand and couldn't beat Tracy as he kicked it into the corner. To center ice, Jeremy Minville can't hold on to the puck. Now Minnesota State, a 3-on-2 the other way. The pass across. Finn Williams was a step behind getting into the play. 6:15 left to play in the second. Down the right wing comes Minville. Minville working in tight. Good pass to Sloan, but Sloan couldn't nail it. Here's a deflection by Connor Levis in front of the goal, and it goes over the head of Tracy. Sternberg, good pass down to the right wing. Minville out to Sternberg again. Sternberg the shot in, couldn't be deflected down by Levis. The pass just a bit high. Streaking is LaBelle. LaBelle on the left wing. He gets the pass. Back out to center ice. Gathering is Finn Williams as he's pressed into the Bowling Green bench. Niedermeyer shoots it in toward Tracy. Tracy shuts off the goal. Puck bounces out to center ice. Played by Minnesota State. They're back in the O-zone now, able to flip the momentum that was Bowling Green's way for a second. Back around. Sternberg with the puck, the forehand pass. Out to the blue line. Conrad's able to hold it in. Fires it off. Banks it over into the slot. BG will get a 3-on-3 the other way now. Duran up to Waters. Waters is bumped away from the puck. Lurie in at the right wing in his own zone. Flips it over the head of the referee. McKinley dumps it down into the O-zone. Gets his guys a change. 5 minutes left to play in the second. 1-1. Bowling Green, the game-tying goal from Brett Foe a second ago, assisted by Emerson and Duran. Now some pleasantries being exchanged in front of the Bowling Green bench. Minnesota State in front of Grant Morneau and Zlinka. Standing there on the pine for the Falcons. And we'll finally get a whistle, and we'll finally get our media timeout. This timeout brought to you by Juniper Brewing Company, proud creators of the Ale Ziggy Zumba, a light ale made in collaboration with BG Athletics. Fan favorite in the Madhouse on Mercer, also available at 145 South Main Street and downtown Bowling Green. For latest menus and Juniper Brewing Company details, go to juniperbrew.com. 4:57 left to play here in the second period. 1-1 score, both teams scoring a goal in the second. You're listening to Falcon Hockey on WBGU 88.1 FM.
Falcon Media Sports Network and BG Falcon Media takes pictures for nearly all BGSU and Bowling Green related events throughout the year. Head over to bgfalconmedia.com, check out thousands of photos and all the content.
You're listening to the sound of Northwest Ohio. WBGU 88.1 FM. Homegrown radio from Bowling Green, packed with local news, BGSU athletics, community DJ music shows, and original podcasts you won't hear anywhere else. Whether you're tuning in from town or across the globe, we're live and streaming at bgfalconmedia.com. WBGU 88.1 FM, Northwest Ohio's community radio station.
Falcon Hockey on the radio at 88.1 FM and streaming online at bgfalconmedia.com.
Back here in the Mayo Clinic Health System Event Center, a big goal a minute ago on the power play by Brett Foe, his first of the season, assisted by Emerson and Duran, each of their 4th assists of the season. And that power play score tied the game up at 1 with Minnesota State, whose Luigi Benincasa scored the opening goal here in the game in this second period. That's how we're locked up at 1. Ben Korak here from the Falcon Media Sports Network. You'll hear in 5 minutes of gameplay from the Cooling Center studios, and Nate Hinners, Nathan Burkett, Dan Ridenauer, and Austin Roos, who will talk about what's going on in the game around the CCHA and around Bowling Green athletics as well. So stay tuned for the Marta Crow second intermission report in 5 minutes of game time. Also go to bgfalconmedia.com and BG_FMSN on Twitter for all BGSU sports news and updates. And tune in to the Zig Zone tomorrow at 4 p.m. where Falcon Media Sports Network members will talk about everything going on in Bowling Green athletics. And a lot, trust me, a lot went on in Bowling Green athletics this week. So very nice discussions, especially with men's and women's basketball starting up this week. Minnesota State in their own zone, out to center ice, intercepted by Niedermeyer. Niedermeyer's lead pass up, intercepted by Murr, and Murr fires it back down for an icing into the Bowling Green end of the ice. 4:30 left to play in the second. That was Evan Murr, who was 2024-25 Defenseman of the Year, one of the best players on this Minnesota State team. Obviously, Alex Tracy might hold that title. He was the 24-25 Player of the Year and Goaltender of the Year. And Evan Murr had a 4-game point streak broken in the last game against St. Thomas. Did not take a point yesterday, although did have the shootout winner. Back into the Bowling Green end of the ice. Jackson Niedermeyer skating as defenseman now. Will retrieve for the Falcons to Zlinka on the left wing. He's got a lot of open white ice in front of him. Hodson is knocked down to the ice away from the puck. Zlinka fires it in. Playing is Evan Murr to Bergmanis. Bergmanis is Evan Murr's partner on defense. Transfer from Vermont after the 23-24 season as his second season played with Minnesota State. He played 68 games with Vermont, 18 points on 2 goals and 16 assists during those 68 games as Ralph Bergmanis, and this is another icing against the Mavericks. 3:42 to play in the second period. Need a new puck as well. Bowling Green now up in shots on goal with 20. They have 12 shots on goal in this period. Minnesota State's got 9. They had 8 in the first period, and Bowling Green also had 8. Those shots on goal numbers have changed. They're always unofficial until the end of the game, and after some disputing from both sides as to what counts as shots on goal in certain instances, so until stats are confirmed. Here's a penalty upcoming to Bowling Green in the offensive zone, so a free play for Minnesota State. Tracy will walk over to the bench. Steinman will get the touch, and Bowling Green will head off for another penalty. Looks like Ben Duran will be skating off. He was the leader in penalty minutes for Bowling Green last year. Him and Sternberg, the top 2 for the Falcons. And he gets it for hooking. So this crew having to use the whistles quite a bit today. 5 penalties for Bowling Green, 3 for Minnesota State. Another power play for the Mavericks as they've not been able to score on 4 of their power play opportunities, though 2 of them were shortened on penalties committed by themselves during the power play as well. But they have a pretty solid power play unit through the Mavericks. Zetterberg being one of those. He's on the left wing now. Not a high scorer, but he's been present a lot on the power play and a good passer. It's in good space. Here's Lemire down to Zetterberg behind the goal line on the left wing. Back up to Bergmanis. Bergmanis, the facilitator of this first power play. Zetterberg works in. Slap shot right wing. What a block by Sternberg, who laid out completely prone for that block. And Sternberg wears it off the shoulder. It's up into the netting and a face-off as we reset play. 2:52 left to play in the second period. 20 seconds expired on the power play. Ben Duran will come out of the box. He does play some on the power play, so a little bit of a missing killer there for BG. Grant in the dot with Jack Smith, along with Lemire and Lurie. Zetterberg on the backside with Bergmanis. Zetterberg a forward, but playing in a defensive position, at least until Minnesota State can win the puck. Down behind the goal line, Lurie gets it away. Zlinka battling for the puck. It's away to Lurie, and Lurie will come out to the blue line. He fires it into the slot. Korodiak touches the puck up, and now Jaden Grant will come into the offensive zone. Grant with a shot to the chest of Tracy. Tracy will hold on to the puck as Grant and Bergmanis getting into it in front of the crease. Grant gives a check to Bergmanis almost to the face. Toppling over there are a couple of Mavericks. That's Jack Smith that was forced into the cage. And we might get some other stuff being enforced here. And there's a shove given by a Bowling Green player to Smith. Smith was John. And I think a player is going to go off from both teams, if not two from the Falcons. Getting a bit hot here. Evan Murr's going to skate over to the referee off the bench. Jaden Grant sent to the box. So is Ralph Bergmanis. And Bowling Green's going to have to choose their 3 Falcons for a 4-on-3. .232 left to play in the second period. It's been pretty intense today. It's been pretty chippy as well. Yesterday, not too much at all. And now these two teams have played too tightly for too many periods in a row to be kept even keel, as Willie likes to say. Yeah, Grant Bergmanis just got tied up there. Tracy smartly got way out of the way and then steps in to try and break it up. Levis not the biggest guy out there. I'm sorry, Tracy not the biggest guy out there. He's only 5'11" and 183 pounds, although in the gear makes him look much bigger than he is. We are going to get a 5-on-4, so Grant and Bergmanis will have to wait for a whistle after the 2-minute mark before they can get back into the game. They've still got a minute 18 on the penalty to Bender in, and that's why Minnesota State's still on the power play. Evan Murr takes the puck in center ice, now leaves it back for Benincasa. Benincasa takes it through center, weaves, tries to weave, and his puck hits the skate of Connor Levis back into the purple and gold end of the ice. 1-1, 2 minutes left to play in the second period. Both goals scored are in the second period, one by Luigi Benincasa for Minnesota State, the other by Brett Foe for Bowling Green, his first of the season. Benincasa with the puck. Gets it out to open ice, and Jacob Conrad. Conrad down to the goal line. Watkins skating with the puck. Back to Conrad on the right wing. He's at the wheel. Now back to the top, Murr. Murr to Benincasa on the left wing. High wheel. Back to Murr at the top at the blue line. Murr's in the left wing corner now. Benincasa will switch places with Murr. Murr's got open ice. He'll skate in to the face-off dot. Picked away by Bowling Green's Connor Levis. Chipped up in the air. Dropped back down by Murr, and it's cleared outside the blue line by the Falcons. Conrad will have to chase it back. A nice defensive play there on the poke check by Connor Levis. Now down the right wing comes Stender. Stender's hit by Ivan Korodiak. Noah Morneau skates with the puck. He dishes it out to Stjernberg. It's down up the ice to Mason Wheeler, fellow number 5 to Stjernberg. Korodiak and Stjernberg, maybe the most physical defensive pairing in the CCHA when they're playing with each other, although they rarely get paired with each other for that reason. I'd rather have the physicality distributed amongst two players. Out of the box now is Duran. He'll play and now skate off for a change. Sloan and Waters onto the ice. Right before the puck caroms way out of play, and a fan's going to go home with a souvenir. 43 seconds left to play in the second period. 1-1 the score. So all that power play for Minnesota State, and they are only able to gain one shot on goal from it. Bowling Green, however, is able to gain a couple since that flurry of penalties started. Falcons now with 6 penalties on the game. Minnesota State with 8. Stjernberg slap shot in, deflected by Brody Waters, but a little bit farther away from Alex Tracy. It's cleared to the half wall. Always kind of hope and luck with deflections, especially when there's a lot of bodies in front. Jake Sloan is knocked down to the ice. Looked like the stick might have got a bit low there on Sloan, but No call and let the guys play. 15 seconds left to play in the second. Puck in the offensive zone for Bowling Green, pinned up against the boards by Minnesota State. Knocked down to the ice. And now coming away with the puck is Quinn Emerson. It's out to Sternberg. Sternberg with 5 seconds left. His shot in, dropped down in front of Tracy. Hammering away at Tracy and the puck are the Falcons. And here we go. A big tussle going on behind the net in the Minnesota State end of the ice. Tracy looks on as he stopped the puck. 2 seconds left to play in the second period. And rugby level scrum going on. All 10 skaters getting in on this. Mason Wheeler's pulled out of the pile by Dalton Norris. The two captains tie each other up. Jake Sloan, the Scotland-born freshman forward for the Falcons, now skates out. And now Sternberg's almost knocked down to the ice. That will look to be Campbell Psychos. Jake Sloan is being sent off the ice to sit with Grant. And Jack Smith is going to be sent off the ice to sit with Ralph Bergmanis, who serve out the rest of this period. And now it looks like Dalton Norris is going to be sent off as well. Nope, he was just giving back some gear. Both teams minor penalties for roughing. It's a good thing it's not more, as that was a scuffle that we have not seen yet in the season for Bowling Green. Probably the biggest one of the season so far. So only 2 seconds left to play in the second period, and we're going to skate into the Marta Crow second intermission report with a 1-1 tie between Bowling Green and Minnesota State. The first goal of the game scored by Luigi Benincasa, his 4th of the season, assisted by Liam Watkins and Evan Murr. Liam Watkins had a couple of points yesterday. Actually, no, he just had the goal. I was thinking of Tristan Lemire. Watkins had the goal yesterday, now 2 points on the weekend. Evan Murr didn't have a point yesterday, but he does have one today. Played his second straight game with no points yesterday, and now breaks that streak. Did score the shootout winner yesterday. And then Bowling Green, about 6 minutes after that goal by Minnesota State here in the second period, Brett Foe with his power play goal. First of the season, first power play goal of the season for Brett Foe, assisted by Emerson and Durant, their 4th assist of the season. And now as time expired, we're getting some more pleasantries exchanged, this time at center ice. I'll stick by a second, see if they make announcements on if there's going to be any penalties. Bowling Green has not yet left the bench. And now they'll start to file out as Minnesota standing on their side of the center line, still chirping. Sternberg and Hupka going at it a bit with the words. Sternberg's not necessarily a guy that you really want to get into. He's chirping with Wheeler now. Wheeler talking with the referee, as does Norris, and you hear the sentiments from the Maverick fans as Bowling Green skates off the ice toward their dressing room. So Norris and Wheeler getting the penalty assignments, if there is any, from the referees, and given the discussion, it looks like there will be. We're heading into the Marta Crow second intermission report. We'll send it back to Nate, Nathan, Dan, and Austin back in WBGU in the Cooling Center studios. You're listening to Falcon Hockey on WBGU 88.1 FM.
Falcon Media Sports Network writes and publishes over 1,000 stories per year, including game previews, recaps, sidebars, opinion pieces, feature stories, and more. Head over to bgfalconmedia.com to view all of our content for every sport throughout the year.
What if you were wearing something sexy? What if you were drinking? What if you made the first move? No matter what, sexual assault is never your fault. Support is available 24/7 through the National Sexual Assault Hotline. Call 1-800-656-HOPE or visit RAINN.org. That's RAINN.org. This is Christina Ricci with RAINN, reminding you it's never your fault.
Brought to you by Rain and this station.
I learned patience from my adoptive dad. All he had to say was,
Hey, you got this. Just breathe. Hey, we're pretty good.
Yeah.
Might have to start a band.
I got it.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
The Bowling Green men's basketball team looks to keep the momentum going at home against the Lemoyne College Dolphins on Sunday, November 9th. Head over to bjfalconmedia.com on Falcon Radio at 1:35 p.m. for the pregame show with Falcon Media Sports Network's Nate Henners, Dawson Pelter, and Sam Bork, and stay tuned for the game with Artie Abrego and Dan Ridenauer on the call.
And welcome back to Falcon Media Sports Network hockey coverage here on WBGU 88.1 FM. This second intermission report is brought to you in memory of Marta Crow, a Falcon hockey fanatic and avid Falcon hockey listener on WBGU 88.1 FM. All right, we're back here in the WBGU studios, joined once again by Nathan, Dan, and Austin. All right, so the Falcons and the Mavericks tied up 1-1 here at the end of the second period. So real quick, Nathan, kind of recapping that second period we had.
Minnesota gets the scoring started basically less than like 5 seconds after a power play opportunity had expired. Luigi Benincasa scores the goal. Assists go to Liam Watkins and Evan Murr. And then BG, about 7 minutes later, Brett Foe on a power play opportunity gets a one-timer shot. He was down low by the blue paint, gets a one-timer shot off, beats Alex Tracy. Assists go to Quinn Emerson and Ben Duran, who Duran's been on a little bit of a scoreless drought recently, so he's able to break out of that and get himself an assist. Shots on goal are currently 24-17 after the second period in favor of the Falcons. In that second period, BG outshot the Mavericks 16-9. We also saw a little bit more of some extracurriculars as both teams are starting to get a little bit more chippy as the game goes on. A couple of scrums, including one that we saw actual full punches being thrown. So I would count that as an official fight, not just a shoving match. So interesting to see how both the goal scoring will continue, but also how both teams are going to be able to put up with the physicality and now the heightened emotions while keeping themselves out of the box.
All right, thanks, Nathan. Coming up, we will have our round table talking about the second period as the Falcons and the Mavericks are tied 1-1 here at the end of the second half. Keep it here. You are listening to the Marta Crow second intermission report here on WBGU 88.1 FM.
On November 15th, 2024, BGSU Hockey defeated St. Thomas in a shootout, courtesy of a game winner by defenseman Jack Blake. Falcon Media Sports Network's voice of Falcon hockey, Ben Korak, had the call of the moment on WBGU 88.1 FM.
And Jack Blake, for all the glory, trying to put this one away. With the puck, taking it around, far side wheel, working in with the shot, and he fills it! Jack Blake with the shootout winner! First time in the lineup this season, and Jack Blake is the hero as Bowling Green mobs him.
This has been a Falcon Media Sports Network featured call. Looking for a BGSU Athletics talk radio show? Tune into the Zig Zone every Sunday at 4 p.m., where a panel of Falcon Media Sports Network members discuss the hottest BG sports topics. Only on WBGU 88.1 FM.
And welcome back to the Marta Crow second intermission report here on WBGU 88.1 FM. In case you are just tuning in, the Falcons and the Minnesota State Mavericks are tied up 1-1 here at the end of the second period. So Austin, Dan, and Nathan, some thoughts on the second period from both the Falcons and the Mavericks, and then some things to look forward to as we get ready for the third period.
What just an absolute roller coaster of a period there. Much different than the first one. A lot more action, a lot more things going on, both scoring-wise and, as you mentioned in your recap of what happened, it just got super chippy. The first 7 minutes were pretty much controlled by Minnesota State up until the goal that they had right after the power play. And then BG started to fight back, and I think you can kind of see Minnesota State kind of losing their edge sort of as the period progressed.
BG, we mentioned in the first intermission report how we need to see BG start to outshoot their opponent, and they did that in the second period. Shots on goal in the second period, 16-9 in favor of the Falcons. So outshooting your opponent, crashing the net, doing all good things for the Falcons. We mentioned chippiness. It's important into this third period. You don't want to lose that. You don't want to just let the Mavericks be a total chippy team, start dishing out cross checks, punches, shoves, whatnot, and just not respond to it. But also you need to be able to control your emotions enough to not get penalties. Both the goals scored for both these teams. BG's goal on a power play, Minnesota State's goal right after a power play ended. So it's pretty fair to say that power plays and having the extra men, the man advantages are going to have been how these teams have scored so far. So you need to be able to fight back, but keep your emotions in check enough to not put your team at a disadvantage.
Stanley and Watkins go up from a +6 to a +7 tonight. Really just going out there and going with Minnesota State has been a key figure, I'd say, so far, especially in this closely contested matchup, because a lot right now, just looking at it where you are, 0-0, and it's kind of still that mentality, going out of the first period, being tied up. It's just going to make the stakes a lot more higher going into the third.
All right, coming up, we will have our player of the game watch as we continue on here in this matchup. Also coming up, we'll take a look at what's going on around the CCHA. I got some name pronunciations written down, so we'll see if I can get through it this time. We'll find out. Keep it here. You're listening to WBGU 88.1 FM.
Ever heard of Falcon Media Sports Network's broadcast on Falcon Radio or WBGU 88.1 FM but don't know where to listen? Well, set down the radio, pick up your phone, and go to bgfalconmedia.com and scroll to the bottom of the page to stream Falcon Radio and WBGU 88.1 FM for all broadcasts.
On February 11th, 2025, BGSU senior forward Marcus Johnson nailed an improbable corner three-pointer at the buzzer to give Bowling Green a lead over the Ohio Bobcats going into halftime. Falcon Media Sports Network's Tyler Kavlitz had the call on Falcon Radio.
Thomas looking for someone to inbound it to. Gets into Johnson. Corner three, fading away to baseline. Marcus Johnson nails it. Bowling Green goes into half with the 2-point advantage, 34-32. On the miracle shot by Johnson.
This has been a Falcon Media Sports Network featured call.
Welcome back to the Marta Crow second intermission report here on WBGU 88.1 FM. So Dan, Austin, and Nathan getting into our third period now, though getting ready for it, but reviewing the first and second periods, talking about some players to watch as we get ready for our Falcon Media Sports Network player of the game. Some possible candidates for it.
I would shout Luigi Benincasa, of course, getting the first goal of the game and the only goal for Minnesota State so far. Yesterday, He had an assist and the shootout goal, one of the shootout goals that would help Minnesota State take the extra point in that game. So I think definitely that's the player to watch on Minnesota State's side.
I would say I'm going to take it actually to the Bowling Green side of things right now. Gustav Sternberg, just having a feeling with him right now in terms of the way he's going with those 3 shot attempts. And I mean, I do see that a possibility if Bowling Green is going to get a goal, it is going to be from a leadership defenseman who starts the play out in terms of actually getting it onto Tracy, and then eventually whether he's screened, whether it's on a rebound, it's going to start with defensemen and then more specifically leadership defensemen. So I'm just going to say Gustav Sternberg is the player to watch.
One player I'm noticing is doing very good is Brody Waters. This is a guy who last season led the team in goals with 16, had 10 power play goals, yet to get a goal so far this season, only has 2 assists, yet to be on the score sheet so far for points, but he has 5 shots on goal, has taken 6 attempts, so he's definitely creating offense, and it's good to see a guy who last year again led his team in goals struggled so far this year. He's creating offense, creating scoring chances, where eventually, in my mind, if he keeps this up into the third period, even if he doesn't get his first goal of the season, he might be able to have one of his shots lead to a rebound goal so he could at least get an assist. He also has a block shot on the game, which is always big.
All right, there we go. Be sure to stay tuned for our post-game show to hear who our Falcon Media Sports Network player of the game is. Now getting a look at what's going on around the CCHA. First up, got some final scores to report. First, the Michigan Tech Huskies defeated the Northern Michigan Wildcats 4-2. And the Ferris State Bulldogs defeated the Augustina Vikings 2-0. So those two are both final now. Taking a look at another game that's still in action right now. We got Bemidji State. Did it? Bemidji State. I was this close. Not really. Anyways, they are up against Lake Superior State 1-0 in the third. 17-19 left up in that matchup. So we'll keep you updated on that one as we get ready for our post-game show. And then, of course, BG and Minnesota State tied 1-1 at the end of the second period. And coming up as we get closer to the start of the third, we will have our Falcon 4 keys to the third period. Keep it here. You're listening to WBGU 88.1 FM.
Three players from the football program were arrested this weekend. The players, wide receivers Brendan Ridley and Caleb Goodlow, and fullback Leo Kemp, allegedly assaulted a bouncer at Ziggy's around 2 a.m. on Sunday, November 2nd. Ridley and Goodlow allegedly struck the victim multiple times, and when another person went to break up the fight, Kemp put him into a chokehold. The 3 men appeared at Bowling Green Municipal Court on Tuesday morning, with all pleading not guilty. They are charged with first-degree misdemeanor assault, with the maximum punishment of 180 days in jail and a fine up to $1,000. The 3 players are still listed as on the roster as of right now. For more information regarding the developing story, head over to the updated story on bgfalconmedia.com. This has been 60 Seconds in Falcon Athletics.
About less than 5 minutes left now to puck drop for the third period as the Falcons and Minnesota State Mavericks are tied up 1-1 at the end of the second period. Again, getting ready for the third period here on WBGU 88.1 FM. In case you're just tuning in, that matchup, by the way, up at Mankato, Minnesota. And Ben Korak is up there, and again, we'll talk to him in a few minutes. But now, getting ready for the third period, your guys' keys to the period.
Goaltending is still huge for both these teams so far. Tracy, 23 saves, .958 save percentage. For Bowling Green, Steinman, 16 saves, .941 save percentage. Both these goalies are playing very well, so you got to find ways to crack it.
I would say keep the momentum going, especially with shots on goal. I mean, you double it from 8 to 16 into the second period. So that I was definitely surprised to see that. I'm also really enthusiastic, if that makes sense, as the offensive chances are going out, and it results in a goal for Bowling Green. Minnesota State kind of a little more stagnant than the Falcons, only recorded 9 shots on goal, but still technically an improvement, but overall it's definitely going to rely on goaltending, but getting those offensive chances is going to be a huge key for the Falcons in this period.
Yeah, and I'll keep up with that idea of momentum, sort of in a different way. We saw throughout the period, it kept getting chippier and chippier, and Minnesota State was really getting agitated with a lot of the things the Falcons were doing. They were getting shots on net. They were getting close to the goalie. I think that's something they're going to have to continue to do if they want to score here, take the lead, and hopefully avoid any extra minutes in this game.
All right, so yeah, as we get ready for that third period, let's take one more quick break right now, and we'll be back with our final thoughts as we keep it here. You're listening to WBGU 88.1 FM.
Here's that song again. Here's that song again. For the 100th time today. Here's that song again. It's gonna be stuck in your head all day. Here's that song again. It will make you cray cray.
You love your kids enough to watch that TV show a bajillion times. Love them enough to make sure they're in the right car seat for their age and size. Show them you love them. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Most people out here think that taking care of one another is important. And most people would step up for a neighbor going through a tough time. Most people around here help out friends and family when they need it. But the funny thing is, most of us won't look for help when we need it. Talk to someone if you're struggling with mental health, because most people out here really care. Find more information at loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
All right, just a few more minutes away now from the third period as the Falcons and Minnesota State Mavericks get ready for the third period, get ready to wrap up their matchup this weekend up in Minnesota, by the way. Now, should mention, though, if you are in Bowling Green, listening in Bowling Green right now, you know, it's kind of chilly outside. I was in New York the past few days, so it was actually warmer there than it was here. It was a little bit chilly getting back, and it was, I don't know if it's still like this, but when I was walking, it was kind of felt like a little bit of a freezing rain when I was walking into the Clean Center here. But we have a chance for snow tomorrow here in Bowling Green. So I don't know if it's going to be like, it's not supposed to get below 32 during the day tomorrow. Tomorrow night, the low is 26. So we do have a chance for snow. We could also get, some like freezing rain. So we can maybe play some like hockey, just out on the concrete here.
That's a bit of a stretch, I'd say. I mean, we're all college students, as you know, so we have to have a little bit of education, but 32 degrees below that is when it freezes. The low for tomorrow will be 29, so I think it's going to be more of that, style where it's just kind of weird, slushy, not really like the snow or the where you see just playing football outside. I don't think we'll be there just yet, but this is Northwest Ohio, which means it could be 55 degrees in the afternoon, but it will be 25 in the morning.
We'll see. By the way, right now here in Northwest Ohio, it is 41 degrees outside. Over in Mankato, Minnesota, where Ben Korak is, 30 degrees right now up there. So if you think it is bad out here when Ben Korak steps outside of the stadium, he will be a bit colder, though there is not snow in their forecast up there. So we might be getting more snow in Bowling Green tomorrow than they get in Minnesota, at least for tomorrow. So there you go with that. I don't know. It's it was a nice weekend in New York. It was like in the 60s there the one day, and then I get back here and it's like, I don't know, 40 degrees. So there you go. All right. Speaking of Ben Korak, let's get ready to get back to him up in Mankato, Minnesota. Hey Ben, how's it going up there?
Pretty good, Nate. Great job again in Marta Crow's second intermission report. A tie 1-1 here in Mankato, which is fairly cold outside, but, we live for it. I didn't even bring a jacket up here in Minnesota. That's how much we live for this cold weather. And the dot center ice, Jacob Stender, and looks to be Jaden Grant for the Falcons. And on a 4-on-4 right now. Two players given the box for roughing is Jake Sloan and Jack Smith are still sitting in the box for the Falcons and the Mavericks, and that's how we start this third period. Brett Foe with the most recent goal for the Falcons on the power play. Minnesota State open scoring today. Luigi Benincasa gets his fourth goal of the season. Here's a low-angle shot from Watkins, and it's taken away by Gustav Stjernberg after the block by Steinman. Back up into center ice, battling for it in front of his own bench is Jaden Grant. Bowling Green has the short change to their own end of the ice now, which benefited Minnesota State highly at the beginning parts of that second period when there was a couple of bad penalties given up by the Falcons. A lot of power play opportunity for Minnesota State, who took advantage of it pretty well in the shots and the chances, just not able to get a goal off. Back in their own zone, Minnesota State standing with the puck. Bowling Green with a two-man forecheck, running a 2-1-2 full ice press. As of the last couple of games, it's worked very, very well. Alex Zetterberg with a shot blocked by Norris. He gets a rebound chance, and it's off of a stick and up into the netting. We'll get a stoppage and a face-off to the right or the left of Jacob Steinman. Looks like it's going to come to the right of the freshman goaltender, who's got 16 saves and a goal allowed, a .941 save percentage today. Alex Tracy, the other end of the ice, 23 saves, 1 goal allowed, a .958 save percentage. Jacob Steinman played 3 seasons, the last 3 seasons in the Quebec Maritime Junior Hockey League. 158 games played, a .908 save percentage, and about 3 goals allowed per game, which for the QMJHL is very nice numbers. Murr with a nice move, pulls it into the inside, puts a shot on Steinman, and Steinman saves it confidently again. He looks so good in the cage for the Falcons as just a freshman. He's battling out for victory in this third period over Alex Tracy, as we've mentioned almost every period this weekend. The 2024-25 Player of the Year and Goaltender of the Year for the CCHA. Mike Richter Award finalist for NCAA's finest goalie, and a top 10 in voting for the Hobey Baker Award, which you don't hear too much in the CCHA. The last time a CCHA team won the Hobey Baker Award was Dryden McKay, a goaltender in 2022. A very solid goaltender for Minnesota State, who has pretty much not missed a beat with how well their goaltending has played. Minnesota State back in their own zone. Quinn Emerson finishes the check on Lemire, and Lemire takes the puck in center ice now on a good pass. Breck McKinley puts a check on Lemire. Puck over towards Steinman, who plays it off of his pad and into his glove for face-off to his right. 17:37 left to play in the third period. Bowling Green leading in shots on goal by 5. They trailed in shots yesterday through a majority of the game. 17:37, as I mentioned. Our Pick the Stick update. 3 Falcon Media Sports Network members do not have any points yet. Brody Waters, Dom Ryman, and Breck McKinley don't have any points. For Lucas Tyler and Nate Henners don't have any. I do have 1 point for Ben Duran's assist on the Brett Foe goal. Full streaks into the offensive zone now. He's behind the goal. He gets the puck on the left wing, moves it out to the blue line. Now with a no-look, dumps it back down. It's chipped over in front of Tracy, but no brown jerseys there to make more of an effort on the offense. Now with the puck, Brett Foe again shoots it past Tracy. Tracy let it go to the half wall, but a very nice shot from Brett Foe in the slot. Now back up to the blue line. A good shift already for these Falcons. Kurodiak with a shot in is blocked by Zetterberg. Zetterberg skates over to the puck in the left wing corner. Campbell Psychos gets the puck away. Wheeler takes a big hit. It's up the ice for Lurie to chase. Lurie in behind the goal line in the O-zone. Kurodiak presses him up, battling away and fighting for the puck is Morneau behind his goal. And there is Finn Williams to try and peel the puck off. He does. Looks to move it out to the blue line, is pinned up by Morneau again. Morneau's bringing some physicality to his game today after bringing a lot of skill and offense yesterday. His 2 goals, but also some great offensive shifts for Noah Morneau, number 11, the freshman for the Falcons. Dumped down by Minnesota State is going to be whistled off as an icing as the hands in the air. 16:20 left to play in the third period. It's interesting, too, how many freshmen are going to affect this year in the CCHA. Michigan Tech with a lot of their lineup as freshmen today in their win over Northern Michigan. Bowling Green with a lot of freshmen. Bemidji State with maybe the highest quality freshmen. They've got some very nice ones. Oliver Peer, Max Nemesnikov, 2 names to remember for them. Their 2 best so far. Braden Crampton out to the right wing. Slap shot in by Jeremy Minville. It's now to the left wing as it was blocked by Tracy. Bowling Green still with the puck. Breck McKinley in deep, playing the blue line now is Jeremy Minville. Up to the left wing, LaBelle tries to feed it over into the middle. Gets the puck back after the pass was blocked. Finn Williams to Morick in the right wing corner. Minnesota State in the O-zone now. back up to the blue line. Rouse Bergmanis. Bergmanis to Murr. Murr the shot in, deflected in front and away from Steinman. Minville pulls the puck out of the pile. Flips it up the ice towards center. Bergmanis fires it in towards Steinman. Steinman kind of awkwardly saves the puck as it kind of bounces in toward him. Takes the one hop. 15:30 to play in the third, and still a one-score game.
Hit the ice in the World Juniors Pre-Tournament Series, presented by Delta Dental.
Jackson Niedermeyer back out on the ice now, skating as a defenseman today. Played every single game of his career with Bowling Green up until the second Bemidji game as a forward or an extra skater in some way. And as finally Willie's figured out that he can play defenseman, which he did some at Arizona State. It's been a while though for him, and he's playing straight up on a line today with Gustav Stjernberg. You're going to learn from somebody, you might as well learn from him. But Jackson Niedermeyer, 6', 200. He's got some size to him. Tyler Hodson brings it in toward Alex Tracy. A couple of Falcons and Mavericks barrel into Tracy, and Tracy's able to keep the puck out. It's iced down by Minnesota State. It'll be icing against the Mavericks, but they get the puck out of danger. And Bowling Green will get a fresh set on the ice to try and get a quick goal here. Still a tie game. Actually, it was, looks like Sawyer Scholl that was knocked down to the ice, and he slid into Tracy a pretty good bit. Hodson did as well as he was taking the puck in tight. Mavericks in gold, Falcons in brown. The Mavericks also with Mavericks script lettering across their chest that is in the shape of a bull. Obviously the Maverick referring to the bull, and a lot of Matador and Olay and other things coming here. Ben Duran wants a penalty. And could it be that the face-off man from Minnesota State touched the puck with his hand? He skated around with a 2 in the air. Head coach Dennis Williams has his hand in the air in a questioning form and wondering why it's not going to be a penalty. And it looks like we're just going to redrop. Willie's not happy. The bench isn't happy. Duran wanted the call, but he's not going to get it. Face-off one back to the Falcons. Dalton Norris on the left wing dumps it down behind the goal line. 5 minutes expired here in the third periods. Tied 1-1 between the Falcons and the Mavericks. The Mavericks took a 4-4 tie yesterday with a shootout win to get the extra point. Here's Jacob Stender. Stender to the left wing to Scholl, and offsides is the play. Minnesota State had a break there. Stender's knocked down to the ice by Ben Duran. Oh, and Duran might be sent off here. Duran was skating off to the bench. We'll see what's going on. The referee's still talking about what they need to see, and they're going to see Duran skate to the gate. Most likely deserved it. We're probably not going to see the replay, and another penalty kill for Bowling Green here is, oh, we're going to get offsetting. So now you hear the boos from the Mavericks as a Maverick was sent. Oh, did he say misconduct? I don't think he turned the mic on, or if he did turn the mic on, it was quiet. Jacob Stender and Ben Duran sit in the boxes. Stender, a junior, 11 points in the 72 games played with Minnesota State. A 200-foot player, although doesn't score too much. Ben Duran, also a junior, 35 points in his 68 games skated for Bowling Green. And we're going to get play resumed. Duran and Stender in the box, and now Waters and Jordan Ron will step into the box as well. So it's most likely misconduct on both Duran and Stender. And they're going to have to put two other guys in the box to signify those penalties by those two forwards. So 4 forwards in the boxes from between the Falcons and the Mavericks, and we're going to get 4-on-4 for the next 2 minutes. And Duran and Stender will probably sit in the boxes for the long haul. 4:30 left to play in the third period. Bowling Green takes it in offensively. Morneau at the puck around the goal. Tries to wrap it into Ryman, who was well placed in front of the crease, but the puck didn't get to him. Good stick by Mason Wheeler to get the puck free and away from the orange and brown. And Cato back in their own end. It's Wheeler with the puck and the WCHA logo. Alex Tracy standing in net on the left side of your radio dial. Jacob Steinman on the right side, the freshman out of Halifax in the QMJHL. Here's a shot, goes high by Lemire. Lemire had 4 points yesterday, 2 goals, 2 assists, the best game offensively of his career. He also led in shots on goal for the Mavericks. He was our Bill and Karen Hoffert first star of the game. So stay tuned for post-game show where we will go over the Bill and Karen Hoffert stars of the game, first, second, and third, for who we deem to be the best 3 players in the contest today. Murr turns it back around to Bergmanis, now back to Murr. Murr through center. He's pressured on a forecheck by Tyler Hodson, the junior transfer from Rensselaer Polytechnic University, or Institute, I should say, RPI. Jack Smith skates it back around. Looks like Minnesota State's just trying to work off this 4-on-4 as they're not really making a move into the offensive zone. Either that or Bowling Green's defense is just too scary. 20 seconds left to play in the penalty. Puck forced up. Jacob Conrad. It's a bit long for him, and a turnover center ice to the Falcons. A backwards pass by Foes almost connected it to Quinn Emerson, and now 3-on-3 the other way for Bowling Green. Niedermeyer to the right wing. Brett Foe slices in. Now Stjernberg. His shot off of Scholl's stick and up into the netting. Stepping out of the box is Waters and Jordan Rahn. So we'll get back to 5-on-5, and Duran and Stender will continue to sit in the sin bin, serving out their misconduct. .12:44 left to play in the third period. We'll take a quick step back right now for station identification on your home for Falcon Hockey.
You are listening to Falcon Media Sports Network coverage on WBGU 88.1 FM in Bowling Green, Ohio.
Back here in Mayo Clinic Health System Event Center, 1-1 the score, 12:33 left in the third period. In the box sits Duran and Stender. The live stats are down, so can't see at what time, for how much time they're going to sit in the box or for what. It is a misconduct, though. They're going to sit in there for quite a while, putting time out. Sight goes down in the offensive zone. Minnesota State looking to put together some offense. The number 16 team in the nation with the puck. Shot in, blocked and knocked down. Out to the blue line. Psycho's just able to keep it in. Bowling Green not able to get tape on the puck, at least enough to get it outside the blue line. Norris now off the half wall and out to center ice. Back into the Minnesota State end. Battling for the puck is Emerson. Emerson brings it in tight with Alex Tracy, and it's peeled away by Psychos as he carries Emerson's body with him. Mason Wheeler, the puck is kept away. Brett Foe back behind the goal. He has played fantastic this series against Minnesota State. Brett Foe has just been, he scored a goal yesterday. He has played well offensively. He's got good shifts. He's definitely passed the eye test today. 2 assists in 6 career games played against Minnesota State. Had his 3rd assist in 7 career games played yesterday. And he adds a goal today in his 8th career game played against Minnesota State. Bowling Green slaps the puck around the goal in the offensive zone. Presses Lurie up in the corner. That's Levis battling for possession. Waters takes out the body as well. Jack Smith, number 20, working in the for the puck. Lurie takes a check from Norris. That's out to the blue line. Gustav Stjernberg has to skate back on the back check. He gets the puck away from Zetterberg. Waters plays it around as Linka on the right wing in his own zone. Lurie battling for possession of the puck. A lot of time the puck is spent on the half wall today. Norris to Stjernberg. Stjernberg with the puck now. Deep pass up to Zlinka. It's wide of Zlinka, wide of the goal, and it's going to be an icing against the Falcons. .26 shots on goal now for Bowling Green, still leading 5 over the Mavericks and a tie game. Finn Williams in the dot. Williams played for Notre Dame in 2022-23, played for the Waterloo Blackhawks in 23-24, and made his debut back in NCAA in 24-25 with Minnesota State. We're in the A this year for the Mavericks. Scored his first goal as a Maverick against Augustana on February 8th. 1 goal, 1 assist in 22 games played with Notre Dame in his career. You heard the reaction from the crowd there. Foe is going to be sent off, and he's not happy about it. Not happy at all. He was being instigated a bit by, looked like, Reed Morick. And he's going to sit with Duran for, if you're a Falcon fan, hopefully just 2. Referees discussing it right now. Forrest, Olsen, Stadke, and Hallinan, the 4 referees here in Mankato. Face masking is the call against Brett Foe. He was right in between the Bowling Green and Minnesota State bench. Oh, that was a bit of a flop. I don't know. Foe's going to serve too. 10:42 and a big opportunity here for Minnesota State, who's in a tie game with Bowling Green. Jack Smith in the dot. 5 for the Mavericks, 4 for the Falcons. Noah Morneau is the best face-off man Bowling Green has this year, and kind of wins the face-off. It's favored to Smith, and then iced back down by Bowling Green, who got position off of that draw. To the right wing, Lemire. He weaves it up through center. Now to the left wing, Smith. Smith has got it down to the goal line. Now up to the left wing, blue line corner. Bergmanis with the puck. Down back to Zetterberg, who plays the left wing on this power play unit. Now back up to the top. Zetterberg to the left wing. Low angle shot if he wants it. Bergmanis slap shot into the chest of Steinman, and he holds onto the puck.
Fans, the Minnesota State Mavericks are now in a power play.
34 seconds expired on this power play.
Fans will be going home with a gift certificate compliments of First National Bank Minnesota. Let's go Mavericks.
So Foe, who's got a goal, he has the power play goal to tie the game up at 1. As Mike cost his team here in the penalty aspect if Minnesota State's able to get a power play goal. Out to Bergmanis. Bergmanis peels it away to the half wall on the left wing. Down to Zetterberg, and now back out to Rouse Bergmanis. Bergmanis to the left wing. Now back to Bergmanis at the top. He's running everything for this power play unit. Zetterberg down to Lemire. Cleared out by the Falcons. Down to Tracy to play, and Bowling Green will get a new set of guys. Morneau out there with Quinn Emerson, Breck McKinley, and Ivan Korodiak, the defenseman for Bowling Green. 45 seconds left to play in the power play. Pass off of the skate of a Falcon. Murr down in behind the goal. Morick to play, the freshman, out to Benincasa on the left wing, and it's tucked outside the zone again by Bowling Green. 9:15 left to play in the third. 30 seconds left to play in the power play. Evan Murr's got an assist on the Luigi Benincasa goal to open scoring today. One of only 2 goals scored in this second period, and only 2 goals scored in the game as well. Puck cleared down by Bowling Green again after they win the battle on the half wall behind the goal line. 10 seconds left until Brett Foe comes out of the box. He's told to skate over to the bench by Brody Waters and not get into the play. Minnesota State with the puck in their own zone. Evan Murr playing with Mason Wheeler and Brett Foe back out on the ice. He'll skate trying to get to the bench. He has to play for second to make sure there's not going to be odd man rush against MSU or for MSU. Campbell Syke goes with the puck off the half wall to center. LaBelle into Sawyer Scholl. Sawyer Scholl down the left wing. Gets some open space for Finn Williams. Finn Williams' shot is blocked, but not outside the blue line by the Falcons. That was Don Ryman that gets the block there. Syke goes to the left wing. Mason Wheeler with some open space. Dials it down. Fed into Finn Williams. Finn Williams, after that pass off the half wall, bounced in front of Steinman. Mavericks have tried that a few times today, and that's the first time that they've really got a clean shot on goal off. Syke goes a shot in just wide right of Steinman, who was screened in front. Pass off the half wall, kind of stops dead center ice. Sloan catches the body of Mason Wheeler, who's a bit slow to get up. Sloan hits Wheeler again. The puck is free and out to Jack Smith. Smith to Lurie. Lurie on the right wing. Pass to Smith, and Smith wasn't even angling toward the net there. He caught it behind the goal line. It hit the netting, and we're going to get a whistle and a stoppage with 7:33 left to play in the third. 1-1. Bowling Green and Minnesota State tied at our media timeout. And this one brought to you by Juniper Brewing Company, located at 145 South Main Street and downtown Bowling Green, serving coffee and craft beer and serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner. See the latest menu at juniperbrew.com. About 7.5 minutes left to play here in the third period. 1-1 the score. A decider coming from either Bowling Green or Minnesota State. And we'll have it here on your home for Falcon Hockey, WBGU 88.1 FM.
This is Phil Beskid, BGSU Radio Faculty Advisor. You can catch all the Falcon Media Sports Network broadcasts on our two stations, WBGU 88.1 FM and Falcon Radio, which can both be found on bgfalconmedia.com.
And here's Heather with the weather.
Well, it's beautiful out there, sunny and 75, almost a little chilly in the shade. Now, let's get a read on the inside of your car. It is hot. You've only been parked a short time and it's already 99 degrees in there. Let's not leave children in the back seat while running errands. It only takes a few minutes for their body temperatures to rise, and that could be fatal.
Cars get hot, fast, and can be deadly. Never leave a child in a car. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Check out more Falcon Athletic coverage on X at BG_FMSN.
Back here from Mankato, Minnesota, Ben Clark from the Falcon Media Sports Network. For all BGSU sports news and updates, go to bgfalconmedia.com and BG_FMSN on Twitter. And make sure you tune into the Zig Zone every Sunday at 4 p.m. There's going to be one tomorrow discussing everything that went on this week in Falcon Athletics, including football, volleyball, women's soccer, men's soccer probably will be discussed. And both men's and women's basketballs who played their first weeks of the season this week in non-conference play, played the MAC Sun Belt Challenge and down in Louisiana. So a lot of discussions going around Bowling Green Athletics, and be sure to tune in to those discussions every Sunday at 4 on WBGU 88.1 FM. Jaden Grant tips the puck back down. Tyler Hodson will be the first one back behind, and Benincasa slides right in to glide the puck out. To the right wing, Evan Murr slaps it up to center ice. Lemire gets a touch on it. It's over as it caroms toward Steinman, and Stjernberg grabs the puck, peels it away. Now Hodson through center to Zlinka. It was a good pass by Hodson, but Zlinka was kind of tied up away from the play. Out to the blue line, and it's going to be offsides. A late call by the referee, but Stjernberg not able to hold it in enough. And just under 7 minutes left to play in the third period. Still looking for the decider.
All the fans sitting in section 201 row H will win a coupon to Buffalo Wild Wings.
Morneau in the dot against Finn Williams. Finn Williams wins it back. Syke goes to Wheeler. Wheeler, his dump pass up the ice. And it's going to be an icing. Reed Morick looked like he was going to be the first there, but It's an icing against Minnesota State.
Attendance 4,119 fans.
Over 4,000 strong here in Mayo Clinic Health System Event Center on this Saturday night. I believe one of the leaders in the CCHA in attendance on average throughout the season. One of the biggest things the Mavericks pride themselves on. Our home attendance average is about 3,900. And last season they were the leader in attendance average across the season. Puck pinned up behind the goal line in the Minnesota State zone. Bowling Green battling for possession of the puck, looking to jump out to a lead here over Minnesota State. They haven't had a lead over the Mavericks since they were up 2-0 and then 2-1 yesterday in the first period. Minnesota State led 3-2 after that first period and then scored a goal. Bowling Green had to score 2. They got 2, one in the late goings of the second and one in the third as well, both of them by Noah Morneau. McKinley takes out the body of a Maverick. Smith with the shot in off of the stick of McKinley and up into the netting, which will prompt a new set of guys for Bowling Green. Stjernberg and Niedermeyer back as defensemen. Foe, Waters, and Levis out as forwards. Levis playing right wing today, but he's going to take the draw with Waters and Foe back in his own zone. He's going up against fellow number 20, Jack Smith. Levis is, and the faceoff is won by Jack Smith. Back to Jacob Conrad. Conrad behind the goal. Back to Smith. Smith has his pocket picked. It's out to the right wing. Bowling Green looking to clear it outside of their own zone. 5:50 left to play in the third period. 1-1 tie here in the Mayo. Pinned up against the board still on the left wing of Minnesota State's O-zone. Jack Smith along with Alex Zetterberg in there. Connor Levis and Brody Waters. Puck is worked free. Is out to the blue line. Bryce Strand backhands it down into the corner. Played behind. Open ice for Jack Smith. He lost control of the puck and Niedermeyer skates away with it smoothly. Out to the right wing. Brody Waters. Open ice in front of him. He gets it outside the blue line. Working it up offensively to the right wing. Here's Brett Foe. Foe looking for a pass. He shoots it into Alex Tracy. Maybe looking for it to be tipped down, but it was not. The senior goaltender will hold on to the puck. 5:14 left to play here in the third.
Today's fans to stay in their seats as the game ends to be part of the special recognition given to the
So we're 5 minutes from threatening overtime for the fourth straight match for Bowling Green. 2 overtime games at home against Bemidji, a shootout loss and then an overtime loss. Well, the Falcons took a shootout loss against Minnesota State yesterday, so trying to make sure that the same pattern doesn't follow the Falcons into Mankato. They did take a point and have a point in every game that they've played this season, and currently sit at 4th in the CCHA behind Bemidji and I believe Minnesota State, Michigan Tech. Puck back down to the Bowling Green end. Gustav Stjernberg plays to Braden Crampton. Crampton's been a little bit quiet in this third period. I believe that's the first time we've said his name. Under 5 left to play in the third. Crampton flips it up high in the air. Jake Sloan chases it in. Pretty big for a forward. 6'3" is Jake Sloan. Out to the right wing. Minville going for the puck. It's away to Liam Watkins. Now to the right wing. Tristan Lemire. He gets victim of a nice defensive play by Breck McKinley. Kind of a poke check, kind of a catch. Finn Williams gets out of that check there and he'll skate back into the neutral zone. Puck played out by Campbell Psychos, pinned up against the boards by Hodson. Hodson pins the body up against the boards. Morik gets the puck away and Norris plays it to McKinley. McKinley up, tipped in by Grant. Zlinka will chase with Mason Wheeler. Uses one hand to press Wheeler into the boards. Sawyer Scholl, the puck is a bit long for him. Gustav Stjernberg keeps it out of his zone by slapping it in the neutral zone, and Steinman will play the puck behind his goal. Perfectly back for Stjernberg, who backhands it to Niedermeyer, who finishes the route with the puck. Morneau, a nice saucer pass up in the air. Hodson tips it to the right wing. Hupka back in his own zone, battling for possession of the puck behind Alex Tracy and the Minnesota State goal. 3:30 left to play here in the third period. Still 1-1 tie. Bowling Green with the puck. Quick shot there by Noah Morneau off of the stick and the pads of Alex Tracy, who gets yet another save. out in a bit of a breakaway here for Scholl, who takes a late bump from Sternberg but gets the puck away. Goose trying to finish his check. Norris on the ice now to play with McKinley. McKinley, long shift once he gets this off. He'll probably skate to the bench. Bergmanis can't slap it out of the air. It's back down into his own zone. Leary plays it to the left wing. Getting position is Dominic Ryman. Out to the Minnesota State blue line with the Maverick possession. It's slapped back down deep into the Maverick zone. But they'll gain possession here. Smith, the centerman, on the left wing. 2 goals, 2 assists this season coming into today. Smith dumps it, gets a change for his guys smartly, and 2:30 left to play in the third period. Really threatening overtime now. McKinley forces the puck up to Jaden Grant. It's been pretty 50-50 all game between these two teams, even aside from the goal scoring being tied at 1 apiece. Kept in the zone on a stick battle there by Brett Foe. Up kind of at the blue line, Brett Foe with the puck. He's pressured by Tristan Lemire. Good move there by Brett Foe, who takes it in. His shot is deflected down by Tracy, who was getting screened in front by Adam Zlinka. Zlinka in the left wing corner, pressed up by Psychos. Puck free and away behind the goal. Wheeler wheels it out the left side, flips it up to center ice. Foe can't settle the puck down. Here's Benincasa. Benincasa, his shot wide of Steinman, who made the kick for the save. Willie shouting for a call at the referee, but didn't get it. Here's Bergmanis. Bergmanis to Benincasa. Benincasa, a good move there, swept away by Steinman as it carried over into the freshman goaltender. 1:30 left to play in the third period. Tipped up, center ice. Minnesota State with possession. Williams back to Bergmanis. Tipped up the ice to Reed Morick. Both teams have shortened their benches by a lot. Pass in there by Williams, banked off the half wall. McKinley carries his check. Emerson outside of his own blue line. 1 minute exactly left to play in the third. 1-1, Bowling Green and Minnesota State. They had overtime and a shootout yesterday. An overtime game last year between these two teams as well. A Rhett Pitlick power play overtime goal won the weekend for Minnesota State. The Falcons only took 1 point out of 6 available last year in the series against Minnesota State. They've already got a point today if they force overtime, or a point this weekend because they forced overtime yesterday. Duran and Jacob Stender will come out of the box finally as they've served out their 10-minute misconduct and are back over to the benches. 44 seconds left to play in the third period. Face off to the right of Jacob Steinman. And it looks like timeout is going to be utilized by one of these two teams. Luke Strand most likely. And Minnesota State will use their timeout. 44 seconds left to play in the third period. This timeout brought to you by Juniper Brewing Company, proud creator of the Ale Ziggy Zumba, a light ale made in collaboration with BG Athletics. Go check it out in the Madhouse on Mercer or at Juniper Brewing Company at 145 South Main Street. For details, go to juniperbrew.com. You're listening to Falcon Hockey on WBGU 88.1 FM.
Did you know Falcon Media Sports Network has video highlights of BGSU athletic events? To see all the moments from your favorite BGSU teams and athletes, head over to the BG Falcon Media YouTube channel or view them on bgfalconmedia.com.
Whether the Falcons are at the Slater Family Ice Arena or out on the road, the Falcon Media Sports Network is covering them all season long.
Face off to the right of Jacob Steinman. Timeout utilized by head coach Luke Strand of Minnesota State, probably to put in a off-the-draw play here to try and get a goal in the last 44 seconds of this third period as it's a tie game. The crowd really getting into it here. 4,100 strong, 4,119 exactly, as the crowd here in Mayo Clinic Health System Event Center. Luigi Benincasa in for the draw. He's got the only goal for Minnesota State today. His first point of the weekend as well. Wins the draw back to Evan Murr. Murr with the shot in. Kick saved by Steinman. off of his right arm as he flipped his right arm out to try and stop the puck. Gustav Stjernberg with the puck. Lead pass up to Dominic Ryman. Ryman skates in first behind the goal. Gets open ice. Makes both men miss. A nice play. Fed over into center. And it's covered up by Alex Tracy. A nice play there by Dominic Ryman to make something out of nothing as he got to the puck first behind the goal. And made both Ralph Bergmanis and Evan Murr miss behind the goal line. Actually made Murr miss. Murr took out Bergmanis. And Ben Duran was camped out in front of the blue paint if only the puck could get there. A nice play by Liam Watkins, too. Full layout to try and stop it. Tristan Lemire as well defensively in there. 22 seconds left to play in the third period, and now a timeout will be called by head coach Dennis Williams. We'll stick our way through this one and talk through how the game has gone so far. 6 minutes, 52 seconds into the second period. Luigi Benincasa scored his fourth goal of the season, the first of the game, assisted by Liam Watkins and Evan Murr. Watkins his seventh assist of the season. Evan Murr his third assist of the season, the defending defenseman of the year for the CCHA. About 6 minutes later at the 12:29 mark, Brett Foe scored on the power play, assisted by Quinn Emerson and Ben Duran. Foze's first goal of the season. Emerson and Duran's each got their fourth assist of the season, and that came in the second period. Just 6 minutes after the first goal, we're tied 1-1 going into the second intermission report, and now we're tied 1-1 with only 22 seconds left to play here in the third period. And we may see overtime again between these two teams. So Dennis Williams uses his timeout, gets his guys a breather, and probably puts in an off-the-draw play. Live stats are down here and for Minnesota State and Bowling Green, so I couldn't tell you what the face-off ratio is now, but it was very good in favor of Bowling Green. And for the draw is Jaden Grant, wearing the A for Bowling Green this year, along with Stjernberg and the captain Dalton Norris, and the face-off is won by Minnesota State. Out to center ice, off the shelf, off the side of the glass, inside of the Minnesota State bench. And because it was a clearing attempt, it's going to come back down in another face-off in the zone of Minnesota State. 16 seconds left to play in the third. Grant in the dot again. Emerson and Ryman, along with Norris and Stjernberg on the ice for the Falcons. Quinn Emerson, quick shot. It's down dirty. Jaden Grant with the puck. Alex Tracy is down on his back. Being held is Dom Ryman. And no penalty coming to Minnesota State. He was being held up. Puck back to Steinman in his own zone. The period will go away. And we're going to get 3-on-3, 5-minute overtime. Tracy was on his back there in the crease. Dom Ryman was going for the puck and was being held onto. So we'll take a quick step back as we get set for 3-on-3, 5-minute overtime here in the Mayo. This timeout brought to you by Juniper Brewing Company, located at 145 South Main Street in downtown Bowling Green. Featuring coffee and craft beer and serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner. See the latest menu at juniperbrew.com. Bowling Green tied with Minnesota State. 1-1 on the road, their second road series of the CCHA season. You're listening to Bowling Green Hockey on WBGU 88.1 FM.
Falcon Media Sports Network produces more feature stories about BGSU athletics than any other media outlet. Make sure to head over to bgfalconmedia.com and follow Falcon Media Sports Network at BG_FMSN on Twitter/X and BG Falcon Media on Instagram and Facebook to stay up to date with all of our content.
Let's take a moment to breathe. Deep inhale. Extend your spine. Remain focused on what you're doing. If safe to do so, exhale slowly, leaning to one side. Inhale back to center. If safe to do so, exhale slowly to the opposite side. Find mental health resources at loveyourmindtoday.org. This message is brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
Every 2 minutes, an American is sexually assaulted. Be the someone who gives their time. Be the someone who lends an ear. Be the someone who takes a step. This is Christina Ricci with RAIN, asking you to join the fight against sexual violence and volunteer in your community. Log on to RAIN.org, that's RAINN.org, to learn how you can be the someone.
This message brought to you by the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network and this station.
The Bowling Green men's basketball team looks to keep the momentum going at home against the Lemoyne College Dolphins on Sunday, November 9th. Head over to bgfalconmedia.com on Falcon Radio at 1:35 p.m. for the pregame show with Falcon Media Sports Network's Nate Henners, Dawson Pelter, and Sam Bork, and stay tuned for the game with Artie Abrego and Dan Ridenauer on the call.
You are tuned into live BGSU hockey coverage on WBGU 88.1 FM from the Falcon Media Sports Network.
Last overtime win against Bowling Green for Minnesota State was December 7th of 2024. Minnesota State coming away with a 3-2 overtime victory off of a goal by Brett Pitlick. We did have a broadcast of that game as well, but the last overtime victory for Bowling Green was on Friday, November 1st of 2019. An overtime victory for the Falcons, 3-2. It's 1-1 right now as we skate into the 3-on-3, 5-minute overtime. Stjernberg, Ryman, and Jaden Grant on the ice for the Falcons. Benincasa, Lemire, and Murr on the ice for the Mavericks. And the overtime yesterday, Minnesota State had majority of the possession time. Also had 5 shots on goal to Bowling Green's 2. Bowling Green had a couple of nice chances, but Minnesota State held on to the puck for so long. Benincasa wins the draw back to the Minnesota State side. It'll take a second for Murr to get there, but he will. Jaden Grant on a forecheck. A man-marking defense for the Falcons. Ryman on Benincasa. Gustav Stjernberg back on Tristan Lemire. Now they switch off. Lemire with the puck on the right wing. He's pressed into the boards. Evan Murr with the puck. He had the shootout winner yesterday in extra shots. Here's Evan Murr down to the goal line. Fakes going back to Lemire, who's back up at the point. Murr passing to the slot. Taken away outside of the blue line. Bowling Green couldn't come up with possession. Ryman will skate off for a change. Quinn Emerson on the ice now. Back crossed over into the slot. Benincasa looked for the puck, and it couldn't settle down enough for him to get possession of it. Bowling Green with the puck behind their own goal. 4 minutes left to play in overtime. Jackson Niedermeyer on. Emerson to Niedermeyer on the left wing. Niedermeyer forward for the Falcons, turned defenseman. He works in. Niedermeyer had 2 goals last season, both of them game winners, one of them in overtime up in Marquette against Northern Michigan. Noah Morneau peels the puck away off the half wall, pressed up into the boards immediately by Jacob Stender again. Open ice now for Noah Morneau. Morneau in tight with Niedermeyer. Back out to the blue line, Morneau. Can't hold it inside the blue line, but he'll still hold on to possession, which is the important part of 3-on-3. Especially in 3-on-3. Once you lose the puck, it's so hard to get it back and so easy for the other team to put together some big offense. Referee got in the way of Stjernberg. He lost the puck back to Minnesota State, and now the Mavericks will have a couple of chances. Jack Smith, Evan Murr, and Alex Zetterberg. Zetterberg will check off for Sawyer Scholl. Murr back up to the blue line. Working in. Jack Smith. He's blocked. It's back out to the Bowling Green blue line and skated outside by Smith. Smith will curl back around. Pass up into the O-zone to Sawyer Scholl. Scholl's pressed down to the ice. Tyler Hodson pins the puck up. He got some open ice. Has Stjernberg back deep, and he got it to Stjernberg behind the goal line. 2:40 left to play in overtime for Bowling Green. Tied 1-1 with Minnesota State through 60 miles of play. Here's Brett Foe. Brett Foe at the high slide. He's got a goal. Shot into Tracy, and Tracy makes the save. Foe worked on the right wing, then into the mid slot. Took a wrist shot. Pretty wide open. And it was a nice one, but Tracy had the good angle and had a beat on it with no screen in front. That's the problem for the Falcons in 3-on-3 is a Falcon team that relies so much on crease front presence. You don't get that too much in 3-on-3. There's just not enough bodies to get a screen in front of the goalie. You got to beat him with a shot almost always. And that's why the Falcons have yet to find an overtime win this season. They have one overtime loss to Bemidji State and two shootout losses, one to Bemidji and one to Minnesota State. Luigi Benincasa down the right wing, looking for open ice. He's poke-checked by Jackson Niedermeyer. Niedermeyer still man marks Luigi Benincasa. Presses him into the boards. Benincasa with room now. Takes it up the left wing. Working in. Pass across to Psychos, and it won't land to Psychos. He can't get a shot off. Loops it back around to the blue line. 1:50 left to play in the overtime period. Here's Psychos. Quick shot into the chest of the freshman Steinman, who will hold on. Face-offs are good for Bowling Green, considering the pace at which they've won them this season. Although it's tightened up quite a bit. It's 31-30 for Bowling Green, leading by one in the face-off department. Could tie it up here. All right, a must-win face-off for the Mavericks as well. Jacob Stender in that dot. Stender's 2 for 12 today in the circle, going up against Noah Morneau. Face-off. Kind of won by the Falcons, tipped up. Emerson with a foot race to Evan Murr. Both of them battling for the puck. Stepping out. Oh, what a play! Alex Tracy leans out to poke the puck away from danger. Now Braden Crampton still in the offensive zone. A heck of a play by the senior goaltender. Emerson feeds it in to Tracy, who shrugs it to the side. Stender pins it up against the boards. It's cleared away by Minnesota State behind the goal, and they'll get possession back. What a reach out by Alex Tracy to shut down a nice play by Quinn Emerson. Evan Murr skates it slowly into the offensive zone. A great skater, the defenseman for Minnesota State. Works in tight with Steinman. His shot in off of the stick of the Falcons. A minute left in overtime. Hodson and Crampton in their own zone, battling for the puck. Almost had position there if they got puck possession. Here's Tristan Lemire on the right wing for Minnesota State. Same place Rhett Pitlick scored his overtime winning goal last season against the Falcons in the second game here in Mankato. Luigi Benincasa has the goal today. Down to the right wing. Gets open. Makes a move on Steinman, and what a save by the freshman again with the right leg. Benincasa back with the puck. He loops it out to the high slot. Leaves it for Lemire. Lemire down to the left wing. Now working in tight again with Steinman, and a good defensive play by Brett Foe. 20 seconds left to play in overtime. Benincasa has the puck taken away out to the blue line. Here's a breakaway. It's Brett Foe. He's got a goal. He works in with Tracy. Tracy makes the stop. It's peeled away by Minnesota State away from danger. These goaltenders standing on their head today. Tracy and Steinman. Shot in to the pad of Stjernberg, and the overtime period is squandered for both sides. Brett Foe with a heck of a breakaway there, and a good chance to fill, and just worked himself too tight with Alex Tracy. You expect that he would get a shootout try given how well Brett Foe has played in this game, and we're headed into shootouts for the second straight night here in Mankato. A final 32 shots on goal for the Falcons to 28 or 24 unofficial for Minnesota State. Numbers obviously suspect to change. And both goaltenders will head back to their creases as the youth players here in Mankato are shoveling the center of the ice where the shootout will take place. We'll see who Bowling Green sends out. Yesterday they sent out Tyler Hodson, who scored, Dom Ryman, who missed, Brett Foe, who missed, and Noah Morneau, who missed. Minnesota State yesterday sent out Tristan Lemire, who missed, Jack Smith, who missed, and then Benincasa and Evan Murr back-to-back made their tries and took the extra point for Minnesota State. A big point for Bowling Green to take. They've taken a point in every CCHA game this season, but only one in 2 games against Bemidji and yesterday against Minnesota State. Can they take the extra today? Jack Smith skating out for Minnesota State. A new puck is placed on the center dot on the Maverick logo. second shootout of the weekend and a 2-game series for these two sides. Jack Smith, he works in, shoots on Steinman, and Steinman makes a right-handed save. 0 for 1 are the Mavericks, and Brett Foe goes out for the Falcons. His first goal of the season today. A solid scorer for the Falcons. He works in, left-handed shooter is Brett Foe. Brett Foe works in, left side, scores, beats Tracy on the right pad. Bowling Green leads by a shootout make over Minnesota State. Benincasa, who made his try yesterday, will skate out for the Mavericks. The right-handed shooter working on the right side. Now gliding in towards Steinman. Makes a move on Steinman, and Steinman shuts off the goal with his left pad. Minnesota State is 0 for 2. Bowling Green is 1 for 1. Coming out is Connor Levis. Levis, a right-handed shooter. Down the left wing. In on Alex Tracy. He shoots into the stomach of Tracy, and Tracy makes the save. So it comes down to this for Evan Murr. The defenseman, with a disgusting make yesterday, worked left and then worked right across the nose of Jacob Steinman. He needs the goal here. He's got speed. Right-handed shooter into Steinman. Steinman makes the save, and the Falcons take the extra point in the shootout. The freshman goaltender, Jacob Steinman, stands on his head for the Falcons as Bowling Green takes a shootout win and beats the reigning CCHA goaltender of the year, Alex Tracy, in his own arena. A heck of a game all around for the Falcons, who put on a display of defense to hold a high-scoring Maverick team to only 1 goal today. And the Falcons able to put together enough offense to force the shootout and take the extra point here in Mankato. First time Bowling Green has taken more than a point in Mankato since November 1st of 2019. That was the overtime 3-2 win for the Falcons. It's been since then, since Bowling Green has taken 2 or more points in this arena, and they did it today against the Mavericks. We'll take a step back, bring you our Bill and Karen Hoffert stars of the game in just a moment, and then you'll hear from Nate, Nathan, Dan, and Austin back in the Cooling Center studios for our post-game show. You're listening to Falcon Hockey on WBGU 88.1 FM.
Don't have time to tune into a BGSU sports broadcast? Falcon Media Sports Network will have you covered with live updates of home BGSU athletic events. To follow along, head over to @BG_FMSN on Twitter X.
Retirement can be scary, but only if you're not prepared. That's why AARP created thisispretirement.org. Because unless you've already retired, you're in pretirement, and you still have time to plan. Learn about retirement savings options, potential tax breaks, and how you can build savings over time. Visit thisispretirement.org for free resources to help you customize your action plan and feel the retirement fear disappear. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Check out the Zig Zone Sundays from 4 to 6 p.m. here on WBGU 88.1 FM.
Tonight's Stars of the Game presented by Bill and Karen Hoffert. Longtime BGSU hockey fans and Falcon Club members surely happy about the outcome today. A shootout win for the Falcons over the Minnesota State Mavericks. A 1-1 tie through regulation, and then the win for Bowling Green and the shootout. Today's Stars of the Game, Jacob Steinman, the first star of the game. 23 saves, 1 goal allowed, and he was not beat in the shootout today. He played outstanding. Only 2 goals allowed on 43 saves against Minnesota State, the number 16 team in the nation, one of the best teams in the CCHA. He only allowed 2 goals and just over 5 periods of work plus 2 overtimes. Very impressive for Jacob Steinman, our first star of the game. Brett Foe scored the goal for the Falcons, the game-tying goal and the power play, his only goal of the season. He also had 4 shots on goal and 5 total shots. Did Brett Foe? He's today's
Check out
second star of the game.
BGFalconmedia.com for previews, recaps, photos, videos, and more of the Falcons.
And Alex Tracy, 27 saves, 1 goal allowed, a .964 save percentage. Had a higher save percentage than Jacob Steinman, but was not able to stop the Falcons enough in the shootout. He was beat once by Brett Foe, who also had the shootout winner and making a case for his second star of the game. Steinman, Foe, and Tracy, the 3 stars of the game for the Falcons, presented by Bill and Karen Hoffert. And with that, I will begin to sign off here from Mayo Clinic Health System Event Center. Special thank you to Lucas Kleimeyer, Tyler Kavlitz, Carl Smith, our advisors and directors who allow us to broadcast away games and just broadcast it all. And thank you to everybody back in the board operator room, Nate, Nathan, Dan, and Austin, who brought to you pregame and intermission reports and are going to do a postgame show here in a minute. They did a fantastic job and took some pressure off of me today. So thank you to all of you. And I will give you all to Nate, Nathan, Dan, and Austin back in the Cooling Center studios and say so long, and we'll see you next week for Ferris State. You're listening to Falcon Hockey on WBGU 88.1 FM.
Kids ask their parents a lot of questions.
Why can't people fly?
Gravity.
Is the moon really made of cheese?
Yep, cream cheese.
When can I move into a big kid's car seat?
For some questions, parents may not have the answer, but that's okay. They can't know everything, but knowing the right seat for their age and size will help protect them in a car crash. Find out more at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
Where do babies come from?
Good luck, Dad. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
August was born 3 pounds, 9.8 ounces. When I first saw him, it was a whole range of emotions. There's stuff I still want to do. Being a young dad, it's not giving up. It's shifting. I looked through his eyes. I envisioned a whole future with him already. To throw the first football to him, give him ice cream for the first time. My life is now devoted to his life.
Through all of fatherhood's firsts, never stop being a dad. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Get hurt in the game? We tough it out. Feel exhausted? We push on. Feeling down? We pull ourselves up by the bootstraps. But there are times when bootstraps aren't enough. When stress gets to us and we need to talk to someone about what we're really going through. So we're going to reach out, because sometimes mental health is not a one-person job. Visit loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
All right, good evening and welcome into our Falcon Media Sports Network post-game show. The Falcons ending their weekend in Mankato, Minnesota with a win over the Minnesota State Mavericks. Tied up again during regular play, 1-1 tonight, but BGSU getting a win in a shoot-off. So, with that, let's turn over and get a quick recap of the game, Austin.
It was a close game throughout. Of course, in that first period, it was a scoreless affair. And then you go into the second period, and you have the goal from Minnesota State's Luigi Benacasa early. And then later in that same period, it would go to Brett Foe, who would tie it up for the Falcons. And then throughout the entire third period, there would be no scores, much like the first period. We would go through a whole overtime with no scores, 3-on-3 play. Nothing would do until we went into a shootout where Brett Foe would have the goal that would win it for the Falcons tonight.
All right, thanks, Austin. Coming up, we will have our analysis roundtable as we review tonight's matchup. Keep it here. You are listening to the Falcon Media Sports Network postgame show on WBGU FM in Bowling Green.
If you're in need of affordable housing in Bowling Green, Falcon Media has got you covered with apartmentsforrentbowlinggreen.com. This website provides an interactive way to search for apartments, townhomes, and houses for rent in Bowling Green. Housing gets secured quickly in Bowling Green, so it's never too early to start your search for a great place to live near campus. Take the hassle out of apartment finding. Visit apartmentsforrentbowlinggreen.com. Brought to you by BG Falcon Media.
All right, welcome back into our Falcon Media Sports Network post-game show. We're starting to wrap things up for tonight, but again, talking about our the Falcons' win today over the Mavericks, and Austin, Nathan, and Dan. Some things you guys saw that the Falcons did today that obviously regular play was very similar to yesterday. Of course, Falcons getting a win tonight in the shoot-off.
Well, first off, it's shootout, but all is well. So we'll take a look at it as well, though. Lake Superior State will be the next opponent on the road for the Mavericks. That's where they will be. But also a bit of a similar situation for Minnesota State this weekend as opposed to last weekend for Halloween, where they won the first night but lost the second night, except that was a home-and-home at St. Paul and Mankato. Here with Bowling Green, though, able to get the victory 2-1. Brett Foe, the senior out of Port Moody, British Columbia, making a name for himself, not only getting the lone goal in regulation for Bowling Green tonight, but also getting the nail in the coffin in the shootout to give Bowling Green a very much needed victory.
Talk about momentum going into this game. You had lost, going into this game for the Falcons, they had lost 3 straight games, all of them claiming a point for the C-Series standings, as last Friday against Bemidji, they lose in the shootout. Then the next night on Saturday, they lose in overtime. Last night, they lose in the shootout again. You go through it. You once again go to overtime. Then you're able to once again force a shootout, and you finally are able to claim a win. So they're going to leave this weekend claiming 3 of the 6 possible points towards the CCHA standings. And now you go up against a team next week in Ferris State that has struggled a lot this season. They did get the win tonight against Augustana, but overall, Ferris State has struggled. So now, not only do you have momentum of claiming half of your potential points from a really good opponent in Minnesota State, you also then have a chance to build on this momentum against a weaker opponent next week.
Yeah, and tonight, another thing that I noticed, of course, in the second period, Jacob Steinman, the freshman, letting just the one goal, but after that on the night, a total, and forgive us if this is wrong, the stats might be a little off. It's reading third period for us, so there might be a little more saves, but it's reading 23 saves for us, a 95, almost 96% save percentage for Jacob Steinman. Just a stellar performance in just the entire second half of this game, and we've really seen him get more comfortable in net since starting just a few weeks ago for the first time.
All right, thanks. Coming up, we will have our Falcon Media Sports Network Player of the Game. Also coming up, we'll take a look at what's going on around the CCHA. Keep it here. You're listening to the Falcon Media Sports Network postgame show on WBGU 88.1 FM.
Looking for a BGSU Athletics talk radio show? Tune into the Zig Zone every Sunday at 4 p.m., where a panel of Falcon Media Sports Network members discuss the hottest BG sports topics. Only on WBGU 88.1 FM.
Welcome back to the Falcon Media Sports Network postgame show, and getting into our Falcon Media Sports Network Player of the Game for tonight's matchup. Of course, BGSU getting a win over Minnesota State tonight in the shoot-off. Okay, so getting into... What?
Shootout.
Shootout. Okay. If you can't tell, this is my first hockey broadcast. So we got some hockey terms we need to learn, but by the time the season wraps up, I will know all the hockey stuff. So anyways, getting into it now for our Falcon Media Sports Network. Player of the game, Nathan, it was a bit of a contentious discussion between you, Austin, and Dan, but we do have a winner, and it is...
Senior forward from Port Moody, British Columbia, Brett Foe. Finished the game with a goal, his first goal of the season, which tied the game in the second period. It was on a power play, and then in the shootout, gets the shootout winner for the Falcons. There was some argument between him and Steinman, who also had a very good game, but in the end, we're going to give it to Brett Foe.
All right, sounds good. And let's get to our what's going on around the CCHA. And I have my pronunciations here. Feel free to hop in if I still cannot pronounce stuff.
We believe in you, Nate. You got this.
Yeah, you shouldn't. First, getting into one tonight. The Michigan Tech Huskies defeated the Northern Michigan Wildcats 4-2. The Ferris State Bulldogs beat the Augustana Vikings. Again, Ferris State defeating them 2-0. And then the Bemidji. I did it! Yeah. I did it!
Good job.
I did it! They defeated let's see if I can do it again. Bemidji State Beavers. They defeated the Lake Superior State Lakers 3-2. And that's a look at what's going on elsewhere in the CCHA here on this Saturday night. And starting to wrap things up here in Bowling Green for this Saturday night. Your guys' final thoughts from tonight's matchup.
Again, just the momentum built through this weekend. Getting 3 points against the Minnesota State Mavericks, which is a really good team, number 16 team in the country going into this weekend. So having this momentum going up against Ferris State next weekend, they'll have a lot of momentum. They'll be back home at Slater Family Ice Arena in front of a packed stadium full of both students and fans alike. So it'll be an exciting weekend next weekend here at the Slater Family Ice Arena.
Well, my final thought is enjoy the victory, enjoy it, have some good moments, have some laughs. But once you get right back to work on Monday, it has to be go time. I mean, Ferris State, you need to take advantage of the opportunity, especially with the Madhouse on Mercer and the Bleacher Creatures. I'd say one of the biggest home ice advantages in college hockey from just a non-biased perspective overall. But definitely enjoy the victory, but don't let it get to you. There's still plenty of work to be done. I mean, Coach Willie talked about it in his press conference this week as he wants the team to be constantly improving. He doesn't want them to be stagnant.
Yeah, and I think I wouldn't call it a must-win game tonight, but obviously a big win for the Falcons. They dropped 2 last week at home. They went to the game yesterday, lost in the shootout. Tonight was in a very similar scenario where they're in a shootout scenario and everything's close on the line. And I think tonight BG really showed that they can have an edge in those moments where things get chippy, where things get ugly, where things are low scoring. And they showed that they can come through and win, and I think that was huge for the Falcons tonight.
All right, starting to wrap things up for tonight. Get on out of here after a BGSU Falcon win. I am ready to get on out of here, get ready to go to sleep because I've been up since 4 a.m. today. I was able to do a really cool opportunity over the weekend. I'm just going to shout it out right now because it was made possible by the School of Media and Communications here at BGSU. It was the IRTS conference in New York. It was really cool. Me and 2 other BGSU students, plus our professor, Jasmine Creighton, were able to go to New York. Really cool experience with that. And yeah, we left very early today, so I've been awake since 4 a.m. And the people in the studio right now, Dan, Nathan, and Austin, they can probably tell I've been up since 4. But with that, thank you to them for hanging out with me tonight, hearing everything my brain that's been operating for, I think, like 16 hours now. Has to say, it's not been all been great. But yeah, and also thanks for sticking with me as I figure out some hockey terms, hockey school names. You know, this is my first hockey broadcast, being part of one. So by the end of the season, I can hopefully know what Bemidji State is. without a notepad. So we'll see how that goes. I'll talk to you guys sometime during a future hockey broadcast. Until then, have a great rest of your night. A big thank you to Ben Korak for doing a great job with play-by-play tonight, and Carl Smith, our Falcon media advisor, and of course Lucas Kleinmeyer, Tyler Kavelitz, our FMSN or Falcon Media Sports Network execs. All right, anyways, thank you so much for tuning in here on this Saturday night. Have a great evening. Of course, stay warm out there. Stay safe. Try not to slip if you're out tomorrow, because there's a chance for snow tomorrow here in Bowling Green. So yeah, try to, just stay safe, stay warm, stay inside if you can. And of course, we'll have some men's basketball coming your way tomorrow over on Falcon Radio. So if you want to avoid the snow, but you want to cheer on some Falcon sports, tune over to Falcon Radio tomorrow for some men's basketball. All right, anyways, I'm getting on out of here. Ben, Austin, and Dan are not Ben. Austin, Nathan, and Dan, you can tell I'm tired. They're already out of here, so it's time for me to go. All right, have a great rest of your night. You're listening to WBGU 88.1 FM.
This broadcast has been a Falcon Media Sports Network production. For more BGSU sports news and updates, follow Falcon Media Sports Network on Twitter X at BG_FMSN, BG Falcon Media on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, and head over to BGFalconMedia.com.